Welcome back to Macrodosing. This week's episode is brought to you by great friends at Sport Clips. How long has it been since your last haircut? I can tell you exactly when my last haircut was. It was about 2 hours after the Washington Commanders signed Carson Wentz. I had a nervous breakdown, and I went to Sport Clips and got my haircut. And it's probably about time to get the split ends taken care of. Well, at Sport Clips, they've just developed a brand new super relaxing signature scent on their perfectly steamed hot towel. Oh my God. If I thought the hot steam towel could not get any better. They figured out a way to upsize it. They've got a signature scent on their perfectly steamed hot towel. It's been formulated specifically to bring the relaxation of the MVP haircut experience up to another level. You have to smell it to believe it. Make sure when you go in that you ask your stylist for the MVP experience. Not only will you get to try the new scent, but you'll also get the 7-point massaging shampoo too. Smell like an MVP. Sport Clips, the pros in men's hair. Welcome back to Macrodosing. Mad Dog is our official stylist of the program. We got me, Mad Dog, Big T, Arian. This is the last week before he who will not be named will rejoin us. So any takes you have to get off your chest, he's not going to listen to the show. So this is an open space for that. Avery is in Scotland, I believe, at the Open Championship.
Wearing a kilt.
He's wearing a kilt.
I don't know. Some of them are.
I want to get invited to an occasion where I have to wear a kilt. I think that'd be fun to do one time. It just must be so easy to go to the bathroom.
Why don't you just wear one? Well, you got to.
That feels like something you would wear.
I got it. Yeah, I would, but I don't want to just show up to.
You wore Jinkos.
Yeah,
pretty much the same thing.
That's different. Jinkos are stylish.
I mean, I think there's some. I'm not against dudes wearing like skirts or dresses or whatever. Like some people can pull that shit off like a stylist.
Yeah, I've worn dresses. I just haven't worn a kilt. I think I just need to. Yeah, the look on your face was like, what? What do you mean? I dressed up like Ivanka Trump one time, so I wore a dress. I was a bridesmaid in Donnie's wedding. Excuse me, not Donnie's wedding. Dana Beer's wedding. I went there with Donnie. That was a different thing though. That was for work. But I don't know. I feel like I can't just like show up in a kilt. I am part Scottish, but I've never really claimed that part of my ancestry out loud or definitively. So it might be kind of weird if I just show up rocking. I think Big T could pull off a kilt.
I don't know.
You give off like those Highland Games vibes. You look like you could throw some logs around.
And with a bagpipe?
Possibly. I just don't know that I'm willing to find out about the kilt.
I think you'd look good in a kilt.
I look good in most anything.
That's very true. Big T's rocking his Braves outfit today. Feeling good about the Bravos.
Big series this week.
Before we get started with anything related to the topic, today we're going to be talking about Donald Trump, by the way. So this is an episode that we've kind of been talking about doing for a while. And it should be an interesting one because we've got his former attorney, Michael Cohen, joining the program. And certainly got a lot of good questions for him. It should be fun. It should be an interesting deep dive into the man, our 45th president.
We need a soundboard, bro. This is my last time asking. We need a soundboard because right there, you said we got Michael Cohen. You needed that.
Can you add in the? That was pretty good.
That was not action. That was 1970 porn music.
It sounded like a sick dog. Bow, bow, bow. But before we get into all that, I had one thing that popped up on my timeline a few times this weekend. We never talked about it on the show, but I feel like it'd be something that Big T might have some insight into. So I wanted to check in with you and see where you stood on this. The Guidestones got blown up. Do you know anything about the Guidestones?
Yeah, so I had never heard of those. I'd never once in my life heard of those.
So they're called the Georgia Guidestones?
Yeah, I forget where they were in Georgia.
North Georgia somewhere? Somebody blew them up.
Elbert County, Georgia, which is...
I've heard of them, but I forget their significance. Run it back.
There really isn't much significance to them. They're just a bunch of stones that look like Stonehenge.
So it's northeast of Athens. It's like on the South Carolina border. Yeah, I'd never heard of them.
So somebody put them up in 1980, and they were referred to as being the American Stonehenge. and they put him up. I'm going to read from the Wikipedia right now. In June 1979, a man using the pseudonym Robert C. Christian approached the Elberton Granite Finishing Company on behalf of a small group of loyal Americans and commissioned the structure. That's very vague, isn't it? Just like a dude who comes not using his real name. He's like, a small group of loyal Americans want this structure. And he explained that they would function as a compass, calendar, and clock, should be capable of withstanding catastrophic events. And so he was trying to make the American Stonehenge out of it. And Joe Findlay of Elberton Granite believed that Christian was a nut and attempted to discourage him by providing a price quote for the commission, which is several times higher than any project the company had previously taken, explaining the guidestones would require additional tools and consultants. To Findlay's surprise, Christian accepted the quote. When arranging payment, Christian claimed that he represented a large group which had been planning the guidestones for 20 years and which wanted to remain anonymous. The location was chosen because of a high amount of local granite and the weather would be ideal for the monument. I don't know what that means. Like, just Georgia weather in general, probably ideal for a big pile of stones, right?
They have done several monuments made out of stone before, yes.
Yeah, if you want to deposit large amounts of stones, Georgia is the state for you.
Yeah.
Like that, what's that mountain where they just carved a bunch
Stone
of...
Mountain.
Stone Mountain, yeah. They carved a bunch of Confederate generals into the side of the mountain, right?
Great laser shows in the summer at Stone Mountain.
Oh, laser. Okay, it's like on the mountain?
Yeah, it's sick.
Okay. And
also great hiking at Stone Mountain.
Good hiking. A lot of stones in Georgia. Christian delivered a scale model of the guidestones and 10 pages of specifications. Then the site was purchased by a Christian from a local farm owner. The owner and his children were given lifetime cattle grazing rights on the guidestone site. The monument was located off of Georgia State Road 77. On March 22nd, 1980, the monument was unveiled by Congressman Doug Barnard before an audience of 200 to 300 people. At the unveiling, the Master of Ceremonies read a message to the gathered audience. In order to avoid debate, we, the sponsors of the Georgia Guidestones, have a simple message for human beings now and for the future. We believe our precepts are sound and they must stand on their own merits. And so written onto the Guidestones are some really interesting. It gives like 10 rules for how to really set up the world, how to save the world. The set of 10 guidelines and principles that you need to follow. And they were transcribed in English, Spanish, Swahili, Hindi, Hebrew, Arabic, traditional Chinese, and Russian. According to the monument sponsors, the inscriptions are meant to guide humanity to conserve nature after nuclear war, which the creators thought was an imminent threat. So the inscription read, number 1 of the guidelines, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Number 2, guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Number 3, unite humanity with a living new language. Rule 4, rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. So I'm not going to read all 10 of them because they're just the owner of the Guidestones, what they think that society should look like after nuclear war. And they thought that having 500 million people on Earth or fewer, that's what the level should be at. We should go no further than that.
All 10 of these just find a different way to say, like, be chill. That's all of them say.
It's true. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. Yeah, it's just really kind of basic love thy neighbor type stuff.
That should replace the 10 Commandments right there, Big T. Basically, be chill.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Be
Jesus
chill
came down and
is good advice.
Yeah, 1,000%. Jesus. I mean, that's why he got crucified, right? But he should have just changed it into 1 instead of 2. Just be chill.
So the maintain the population under 500 million thing. You said this was 1980.
Yep.
The world population in 1980 was 4.4 billion. So did they want to wipe 4 billion people? Like, what was the plan?
I think since it was originally constructed to be rules about setting up society post a nuclear war.
Oh, okay, I see.
They might have been assuming that the vast majority of humankind would be wiped off the face of the earth.
And then let's keep it that way.
And then let's keep it that way.
Got it.
Which is, I don't know about you, but people be fucking. So it's going to be tough. You can't stop people from fucking.
But yeah, so like I said, I lived in Georgia for a lot of my life. I'd never heard of those.
Yeah, so they kind of had a resurgence in the in the common zeitgeist in like 2010-ish, around then, it became kind of a flashpoint for conspiracy theorists, and they called them the 10 Commandments of the Antichrist. And some conservative Christians called the monument satanic, and they got really mad. I think like what you were alluding to a little bit there, it sounds a little bit like eugenics, when it's like, hey, we need to get rid of, I don't know what the percentage is, probably like 75, 80% of the world's population. It could be read to be interpreted that way. So people got really mad at these guide stones, and then somebody blew them up over the weekend. Somebody
oh, really?
Yeah, somebody detonated like some sort of explosive device on them. So then everybody was talking about it and be like, great job. Thank God they destroyed these guide stones that most people have never heard of before. It just became like a small thing that a lot of people really, really cared about. So, you know what? I'm upset at the person that bombed it. I'll just say it, because like Big T said, I don't think they were hurting anybody. It was just like, be chill, right? That's not a very chill thing to do, to blow up the guide stone.
Helping anybody either, though.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to our whole discussion that we've had on this show about whether or not statues are good, just in general. They're kind of weird. Like monuments and statues are kind of strange. So
yeah,
I guess
that one in particular is pretty useless, though.
Yeah. Did they do a laser show there?
Be a lot cooler if they did.
It would be.
I feel like it's also one of those things, like it was so under the radar that now by blowing it up, you actually just brought more attention to it.
That's true.
So you kind of like did the exact opposite of what you wanted.
Yeah, you played yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's the majority of outrage in today's world, though, right? It's like, if you just stop talking about it, it'll probably go away because the news cycle's so fast.
Yeah. You know who was a big fan of these Georgia Guidestones? That's right, Yoko Ono. She said,
Oh, then I'm out.
She said the inscribed messages were a stirring call to rational thinking. So,
What your beef for Yoko Ono, Big T?
Just not my vibe, you know.
Big T was a huge Beatles fan until Yoko Ono came around.
No, I've
there's a lot of
been a
Beatles fans that hate her because of that shit. Oh, really? I fuck with the Beatles. They're solid.
Did you watch that documentary? It's them while they're recording. They're like writing a bunch of new songs, getting ready for a concert, and you get to see them practicing and writing songs together. And it's actually fascinating because it's, the four of them sitting down. Well, it's George, Paul, and John, and then Ringo's also there, just kind of like vibing out to it. He's like, yeah, okay, I could do a drum beat to this. And then Yoko gets to hang out a lot too. So it's like, it's the people in the band, and then Yoko's also in the circle, like trying to contribute to the writing sessions, which is a little bit strange. But a lot of people blame her for the Beatles breaking up. I don't think that's entirely fair. I think she was a convenient scapegoat.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see them operate as a group and like try to figure out how to write some songs that would go on to being like massive hits. Like Get Back. I think that's the name of the documentary. It's called Get Back. And you can see them starting to write the song from scratch, from nothing, and then building like the melodies and guitar parts and backup vocals and all that, and watching it all come together. It's fascinating to watch it happen. But Yoko's also there. So the Guidestones, what's our final ruling on are we glad that they're gone?
I don't really care. I didn't care that they were there. I don't care that I mean I'm anti-bombing things. Don't do that. It's bad. But like, was anyone hurt?
You're
buddy. Let me tell you about your country.
I'm anti-bombing most things.
He's anti-bombing inanimate structures.
Yeah. Don't go bombing for no reason.
Now, if there are lives there, that's different.
Well, buddy.
No, listen, that was Barack Obama's favorite pastime.
It was.
It's American as apple pie.
Yep.
If he was bored one day, some Syrian village was getting drone struck.
Drone
struck.
He was the drone king. Drone the prince. But also we've done, we bombed Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Where do you stand on that?
Some would say that was warranted.
Some would say it wasn't. What about the firebombing raids on Tokyo?
They never did it again, did they?
People don't talk about the firebombing because that was worse in many respects than the atomic bombing. So the firebombing raids, the Doolittle raids, and by the way, I didn't realize this until a couple years ago. Sean Doolittle, the closer for the Nationals, World Series champion, his grandfather was the Doolittle that flew the Doolittle raids in World War II, which was like a nighttime raid on, I think it was on Tokyo. It was on a number of cities in Japan, and they dropped incendiary explosives. And essentially, since all the buildings in these major cities in Japan were built out of very lightweight wood and paper-like structures, it just caused the entire city to catch on fire. And so it's controversial because, it helped us win the war, and we don't know where that war would have gone if we hadn't, were we going to full-scale invade Japan? Because that seems like a bad idea too. But it's like one of those questions of, was this worth it in the long run if you're doing the math on it? But just bombing cities indiscriminately could be viewed as being bad.
Bombing U.S. naval bases could also be bad.
Agreed.
I think that turned out to be a bad plan.
That was a bad plan that Japan had.
Yeah.
Yeah. So bombing structures, bombing stone, good.
No.
Bombing
just to bomb, bad. Don't just get bored one day and go bomb things.
What about fireworks?
I'm anti-home fireworks. If you're shooting off fireworks at your house, you're a loser.
But it could be fun too.
It sucks. They do it too early and too late. If you're shooting fireworks off on like July 6th, hate you. It gets too much at this point.
What?
Or July 3rd. July 3rd also hate you.
I'm okay with July 3rd fireworks.
Nah.
Well, I'm okay with fireworks any time of the day. I love fireworks.
But
those are fire.
The rewards you're getting from these little piddly fireworks you're shooting off in your driveway, like go watch real fireworks. Those are fine.
What kind of fireworks are you buying?
I don't buy fireworks, but I'm sure
Oh yeah,
you
in
can
New York
buy.
City, yeah.
Well, like even when I lived elsewhere, but I'm sure you could go buy like a great fireworks display but fireworks are expensive, dude.
Yeah, no, shit. For New Year's, I probably spent like $1,500 on fireworks.
Yeah, and like if you really
want for like an hour, just popping them off. It was fun.
I'm sure it's fun. It's
I saw this one video of a family that
You're
set
a
off
grouch, yo.
fireworks.
I know.
You're a grouch, yo. Like,
I know.
I'm okay with fireworks, but only on a day. One day only.
Listen, I went to go watch fireworks on July 4th. I had a great time. But like, if you're shooting them off at 2 a.m. at your house, you suck.
Dogs agree with you.
Yes.
Dogs major cosign.
A lot of dogs.
Maybe that's why. I'm for bullying dogs.
Yeah, so. No, Arian, it's like self-defense on your part. Like you set off fireworks, you know that dogs aren't going to be coming by.
I just carry black cats in my pocket in case I see a little motherfucking mutt. Throw it at his feet.
What about sparklers? What do you think about sparklers?
If you want to walk around with a little sparkler in your hand, that makes you feel patriotic and
they're
fun.
For kids. They're for kids usually, man.
Yeah, that's great. Let that have fun. That's not bothering anyone else, so I don't care about that. If that makes you feel you want to wave your little sparkler, that's great.
What about sparklers at a club?
It's the way he's saying wave the sparkler. There's a lot of undertones in it, man.
What about bottle service?
What do you mean?
Sparklers.
I feel you have a.
There's no.
What kind of people? What kind of people use sparklers, Big T?
No, I think you're reading things into it that I never said. If having a sparkler is fun to you, go for it.
You want to wave your little sparkler? It's just fun.
Yeah, it's not something I would do. I get no enjoyment out of holding a sparkler. But if you want to, go for it.
Grouch.
What'd you say?
I was just asking about sparklers at a club when you get bottle service.
I've never been to a club, but I find videos of that dumb.
You've never been to a club?
Do I look like someone that would go to a club?
I think we know what we have to do.
I have no interest in going to a club.
You've never been to a club?
No.
What's the difference?
How old are you?
25.
Sometimes I forget Big T's 25. Because you could be 40.
I've said forever I was born to be 46 years old. I can't wait to be 46. that was my calling, was to be a 46-year-old, to have my chair in the living room, my son playing high school football. That's all I want.
You would be a great 46-year-old.
I agree. I've been waiting on it
Already
for
are.
a quarter of a century at this point.
Neighbors are being loud.
I'm working toward that. Like I'm working toward becoming a good 46-year-old so that when I get there, I don't waste that year.
He's in his cocoon, and then when he turns 46, he's turning into his butterfly.
Beautiful. You're in your cozy chrysalis right now.
The kids at 23, they say that's their Jordan year. 46, double that. That's my Jordan year.
So what happens when you turn 47?
I think 46 to 49, I feel like is my sweet spot, and then after that, we'll figure it out. I feel like we'll adapt. But that 3-year window is going to be demon time. I can promise you that.
What goes into demon time? What are some things you want to accomplish?
Well, like I just said, I want to have my chair, right? Nobody else in the house can touch this chair. That is Big T's chair.
That's literally a rule in my house, bro.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Every good dad has
that. I got 2 rules in the house. One is don't lie. The other one is that's my spot.
Yeah.
Get about it.
No, yeah, I want to have my chair. I want to have a man cave. I want to have my son preferably be pretty good on his high school football, basketball, and or baseball team. I want to be a high school sports parent. That's what I want more than anything.
Okay. You got your sunglasses picked out? You're going to need a good pair of sunglasses.
Good pair of Oakleys.
I always have my sunglasses.
You got
Don't leave home without them.
You're going to have the straps on the back?
I'm not a croaky. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I'm not a croaky guy.
Are they going to be reflective?
Maybe. I'm not a croaky. I put them on my shirt.
Yeah. What about transition lenses?
I don't know what those are.
Those are the
I've
glasses
heard the term.
that they turn from regular color to darker color, depending if you're in the sun.
Nah, that's too much. That's doing too much.
Okay.
You're going to go to Yard House all the time.
I actually recently ordered a pair of sunglasses that I found out were fake, and I should have known they were fake because the website was weird. It was a TikTok ad, and then they came. I got home yesterday and opened them, and they're like, you can see my eyes through them. Like, they're the fakest shit you've ever seen in your life. I was very disappointed about that. But yeah, good pair of sunglasses. I want to be 46.
Okay, so you've got like 5 years. You're going to have a kid when you're 30.
Yeah.
If you want to get to optimal 46-year-old.
30, 31, yeah.
Yeah, so that's got to be part of the plan.
Yeah, I mean, that's a long way off.
Yeah, you can't have a kid too early.
Right.
And then they're in college and they're no longer playing sports.
Wait, when your birthday?
Bleep that out. Spring.
What?
Bleep that.
You don't want people knowing your birthday, Grouch?
No, I don't. Remember, you were here on my birthday. Nobody knew.
I knew.
That's the way I like it.
What are the last 4 digits of your social?
Yeah. See, we're getting to. No, seriously. Bleep that.
Okay,
bleep
I'll
that.
bleep.
Spring.
Jesus.
I don't want no fucking congratulatory tweets on my birthday, goddammit.
I want
people leave me get off my lawn.
I want Big T to go out for his birthday next year. We should actually take him out for his birthday.
To a club.
Take him to a club or for
I'm
breakfast.
already out.
For breakfast, we'll go to brunch, and then we'll have them put sparklers in the French toast when they bring it out to them.
The accoutrements.
Avocado toast.
Man,
avocado toast.
What a horrible way to spend your birthday.
What are you gonna have? You got to do it big. Then you got to start planning your 46th birthday.
Yeah.
That will be
bash.
Maybe 45 because like 45 will be that's a better number.
And Trump.
Yeah.
Oh, good point. Great point and way to tie it in. Yeah, 45 we will blow it out for sure.
What does a blowout look like? Just like grilling burgers?
Yeah, probably just hanging out, going to Dave and Buster's.
Angry Orchards.
Yeah. Best birthday I've ever had in my life was at ESPN Zone.
Oh yeah.
I would give anything to bring back ESPN Zone.
ESPN Zone was awesome.
The greatest restaurant ever created.
Arian, did you ever experience ESPN Zone?
I did not.
It was like it was like the biggest sports bar in the world. Everyone had their own recliners, right?
Yeah, recliners. Every table had a TV on it that you could turn the channel. There was a big wall of TVs, and it was a good restaurant too. Like the food was good, and then they had a whole Dave and Buster's like game room. It was the best place of all time.
The best place of all time.
Truly,
It was nice.
I'd give anything to go back. They're all gone now.
Yeah,
I'm mourning for you.
I used to go to the one in the Inner Harbor all the time in Baltimore. I'd go there before I'd go to an Orioles game when I was a kid. And the restaurant was very nice.
Yeah, it was a good restaurant.
Yeah. I wonder why
yeah, well, I was about to ask that.
I don't know. The last one was in Times Square, and then they eventually got rid of that one too.
My guess is it's like outside ESPN's core competency, which is like buying live sports rights and then showing those on TV. That's what ESPN is good at. And they didn't want to be in the restaurant game because that's a completely different line of business.
Yeah, it is. Well, they could have just merged with somebody. Y'all take care of the food shit. We'll take care of the entertainment.
Yeah. It was great though. If anybody out there remembers ESPN Zone, send us your favorite memories.
Like a Taco Bell and a Pizza Hut merger, like a ESPN and BB Dubs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That would have been incredible. I
love B-dubs.
I have a confession to make.
Shut up. Don't even say it.
I've reached a point in my life where I have to admit at this point, Buffalo Wild Wings kind of sucks now.
Shut up.
Well,
I hung on
so
longer
I'm assuming
than most.
they're no longer a sponsor.
I hung on way longer than most people did because most people have been out on B-dubs for the last 10 years.
That is true.
I like B-dubs.
They got rid of my favorite sauce a year or two ago.
Which
and
one is it?
Hot barbecue.
I do like
They
hot
axed
barbecue.
it.
I'm a garlic parmesan
And
girl.
I don't know that I've been back since.
I still like their sauce. I like their spicy garlic sauce.
That's really good.
The garlic parmesan's still pretty good.
Yeah.
But the wings are just not even wings anymore.
I get this classic snack wrap. I'm a bitch.
Yeah, you are a bitch.
Yeah.
The wings.
Whoa.
I'm in it in like
In a
like
You
I
didn't
like
say
you're,
it first.
like you're a pussy
yeah.
in a non-misogynistic way. But
No, I agree.
the wings
I agree.
the wings are like the size of my finger now. There's like no meat and they taste like dog food.
I've never had dog food, but I'm all in on the wing chains that are shit. Wingstop ass.
Yep.
I've
terrible.
never had Wingstop.
There's not a lot of wing places are good. The best wing places are the mom and pop joints.
Yeah.
The mom and pop joints be popping, but like these chain wing things, I'm out. Like, yeah, B Dubs is shit. B Dubs is dope in college. Like we used to go there for college. Like, but like after I started making a little bit of money, like you get the quality of food changes. I can't eat B Dubs like that anymore unless I'm faded.
Are there any more national wing chains? Because
Quaker Steak and Lube.
I've never heard of that.
It's not bad.
Wait, you've never heard of Quaker Steak?
It's an Ohio thing.
No.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh. I thought that was an everywhere thing. It's like a like a wing place, right? Would you describe it as that? An American wing place?
Yeah.
It's a B-dubs competitor. It's trash.
Because yeah, Wingstop is way worse than B-dubs.
Is it really? I've never had it.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad, man.
it's not good. I'm looking. This lists Domino's as one, so that's just
Oh, Domino's
that's
wings
not true.
are not real.
So B-dubs, when we were in college though, I feel like it was a little bit different. It wasn't the B-dubs that you have now. The wings were actually normal sized. It was like the focus of the menu. Now you can tell that they have just admitted that their wings are shit because they focus on all the other stuff that they serve there.
Oh, okay.
Hooters. Hooters is trash.
Bad
Oh,
wings.
no.
Agreed,
I like
bad
Hooters
wings.
No, I was
I
gonna
like
say I'll
Hooters
go to
wings.
bat for Hooters.
Nope,
I like
bad
Hooters
wings.
wings.
I like Hooters so much.
trash.
I ordered it to my house last week. I don't go for the women. I go for the food.
I
Wait.
love Hooters wings.
They are a sponsor,
You
right?
tried to.
I think
yes,
so,
they
but
are.
yes, I will
But
go to
I
bat for
don't even
Hooters.
care.
No, Hooters is great. I love Hooters.
Yeah.
Fantastic food. You think that people just go there for the waitresses? No. Not people like me and Big T.
And me. I love Hooters.
Mad Dog loves
good
Hooters.
chicken at Hooters. I'll
Yep,
stand up.
I'll
for
give
that.
Hooters my stamp of approval.
Delightfully tacky, yet unrefined. That's the calling card of a Hooters, gentlemen.
And it gives me nostalgia for Big Daddy. I love that movie.
Yeah, but B-dubs, I'm sorry to turn my back on you. And you can win me back.
What about the bag of pop you can get though?
You can't. Okay, so a couple things have happened recently. At B-dubs, you used to be able to get sodas to go
Can you not do that anymore?
and delivered to your house, and they would give you a big bag of soda.
You could slap the bag.
It was like a giant bag that they would just fill up with liquid, with soda. And I loved that. I used to love their wings. And I love the fact that every time I would go to B-dubs, I knew that they would have Big Buck Hunter, and I could play that. And they got rid of all three of those. Those are the big three, as far as I'm concerned. And they got rid of all three of them. They can win me back, have normal-sized good wings. They became a publicly traded company, so then they started to focus on stock price and delivering, for their shareholders. And part of that equation is you have to cut back on quality sometimes. And they lost me. They lost me when they shipped off the Big Buck Hunter video games.
One of the few times I've been out with you, it was after the Braves won the World Series.
I was just gonna say that.
And you were ripping Big Buck Hunter in a bar at like 1 a.m. on a Tuesday.
I was. We were in a club.
Couldn't get you away. It was not a club.
Oh God, not a club.
It's a bar the size of this table.
The worst place.
Where does
Their potato wedges were fired.
With the cheese. What were they called?
Yeah,
they had a fun name.
chili con queso?
No, like the potato coins with the cheese on top, but they had a name.
Potato coins?
I don't know. It's like a good way to describe.
I've never heard that.
You're talking about chips?
No.
No, potato wedges.
Like wedges.
Potato coins.
They had a
potato coins as chips.
I feel like they had a special name, but also, what's WEC? Like, because that's like the BW3.
Oh, beef on weck.
I don't know what that is.
Weck it's the name of a roll. I think it's called like a Kennewick roll or something like that. And it's a kind of like a mix between, I don't know how to describe this correctly. It's a mix between a hamburger bun and rye bread, kind of. It's got like seasonings on it and seeds.
And what would you put on it? Just beef?
Beef, roast beef, and then you put some of the au jus on it.
Oh,
and
that's
then
good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Why'd they get rid of the WEC?
I don't know.
That sounds like it would be. It kind of sounds like a French dip, kind of.
Yeah, they turned their back on what made them successful.
Yeah.
That's my problem with B-dubs. And I hope that they can win me back because I spent some of my favorite birthdays at B-dubs. I think I went there like every year for my birthday between the age of 20 and 25.
And you get the hat with the horns on it?
You could get a hat there. I just remember I remember going there on my 21st birthday, ordering shots at the bar. And I was like having a big celebration. And the bartenders were like, wait, you've been ordering shots here for the last 2 years. Why? What's going on right now? It's like, got that fake ID. Don't need it anymore.
All right. Small pivot. We got to talk about this, man. Well, there's two things. One is Hunter Biden. We got to talk about this because it's hilarious. And then two, did anybody see Herschel Walker, his last little speech?
No.
I have not.
I did. I did.
Here's a small
yeah, go for it.
From this speech. He says, since we don't, he's talking about climate change, and he just throws in the Green New Deal, which I'm 1,000% positive he's never read, and it's like what, 2 or 3 pages. He said, since we don't control our air, since we don't control the air, our good air decided to float over to China's bad air. So when China gets our good air, the bad air got to move. So it moves over to the good air space. Then now we got to clean that back up.
So
Listen.
I kind of hope that he wins now. Just because like
No, fucking man, hell no, bro.
Wait.
What?
He could not be a worse candidate. Like, I don't think that you could engineer a worse candidate. And if he still wins, then it's just, that's like the point of no return for American democracy. It's like, this guy doesn't know anything about anything.
I would love, they started that came out of the story that like his campaign people started calling him a pathological liar. The people that are running his campaign. And it's like, bro, politicians lie in general, but like when your campaign people call you a pathological liar, like that's hard to beat.
Yeah.
That's hard to beat.
They hate him. The air thing. Maybe he's right though. You ever thought about that, Aaron? What if he's right?
I haven't. Sell me. I'm in.
Okay, so we make the best air in the world over here in the United States.
Agreed.
Right? That's the smell of freedom. Well,
not in New York City, but most places in this country, yeah, you can smell the freedom.
I was going to qualify that. You step outside in New York, that's cat piss. That's not freedom.
Yeah.
But you go out to, real America. You go to Montana and Wyoming, where men are still men. And that's the smell of freedom when you step outside, right? You're in Yellowstone Park. That's the smell of freedom. That's our good air that we create here. We always have.
Crashed a snowmobile in Yellowstone one time.
You did?
Yeah, I was a kid. I wasn't supposed to be driving it and kind of ran it off into a ditch. When we took it back, they could for sure tell that something was wrong with it, but we hightailed it out of there.
Wow. Big T.
But,
Lauren
allegedly.
Boebert. Handshake.
Allegedly. Who?
Didn't Boebert crash something out in some national park and then pretend that never happened?
I don't know. Did she?
Probably. I don't know. But yeah, so Arian, we have good air in the United States. Over in China, it's bad air. You've seen the pictures. It's an entire country just filled with bad air. A lot of smog. When we go over there for the Olympics, all our athletes have to wear facial coverings because there's smog indexes, things like that. And so when China makes all this bad air, then the wind takes it over to the United States and it pushes our good air halfway around the world. So it's giant air displacement. And our air goes over to China and then they just suck up all our great air. And then
we got to clean up their mess. We got to mop up their shit.
Exactly. So actually, what is the dirtiest air in the United States? Like if you think of a city with bad air.
Oh, New York.
Yeah, it's either New York or LA.
It's LA. I think LA's got the smog issue. LA also.
Oh, did you see that? Did you see that picture of like in the middle of the pandemic, like when people were actually quarantining and like there was no traffic on the streets in LA, and the picture over the city versus when like a regular day in LA? That shit was crazy, dog.
Mm-hmm. It was like clear, right?
It was cleared up.
Well, you know why that was? Because at that same time, China was quarantining. And that's all the good air from China came over.
This guy might be onto something.
Its way.
I mean, LA is one of the closest American cities to China,
might
right?
Be on something.
So we should look into the good air, bad air transactions that we've been having. Like I feel like we've got an air deficit with China right now.
If you haven't looked at this video, because it's a video, I'm not misquoting him. That's a direct quote taken from a video. The video is even funnier because he has people there agreeing and laughing with him, but it's in conviction. That's the funny shit, dog. His conviction is just like, let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something about climate change. He was one of them types. I was like, yo, just watch it. It's one of the funniest shit you can watch.
You want to play it, Big T?
Yeah.
Oh, because we need energy for everything. Y'all know that? And they were talking about the Green New Deal. You know, climate change. I'm going to help y'all with that real quickly, and I'm going to do it in the Wrightsville way so you can understand what I'm saying. We, in America, have some of the cleanest air and cleanest water of anybody in the world. So what we do is we're going to put from the Green New Deal millions or billions of dollars cleaning our good air up. So all of a sudden China and India ain't putting nothing in there cleaning that situation up. So all that bad air is still there. But since we don't control the air, our good air decided to float over to China, bad air. So when China gets our good air, their bad air gotta move. So it moves over to our good air space. And now we gotta clean that back up.
It sounds like he's doing a stand-up routine.
Yeah, the video it's still a moronic and like not intelligible thing to say, but it does sound like he's kind of the video is better to him than the quote.
Oh my God, it isn't.
Hear what I said at the beginning, but like if when I read that quote, I was like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard, and I'm like, it's the dumbest shit I've ever heard, but it sounds like he's kind of playing to the crowd.
That's not how I read it. I read it like he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, and he's just yammering on.
I don't think he knows what the fuck he's talking about either, but it does seem a little bit different after watching the video.
The most generous interpretation could be that he is saying, I don't even know if he knows that he's saying this, that we can clean up our air, but China and India still have air pollution issues. So from a global perspective, they're still making the air dirty, even though we're cleaning it up.
That is the Republican talking point, but that is far too generous.
Yeah, I think I am being generous with it.
What was it? He said something way worse than that recently that made just absolutely no sense. And
He was talking about the shooters, the mass shooters, and saying we need to have a department of investigations that takes a look at social media and young men looking at young women on social media.
Yeah.
And seeing what young women are saying to young men on social media. Something along those lines.
Yeah. Yeah, he's gonna lose.
I would hope so, man. But I would pay $1,000 because he's running against what's the dude name? Warnock or something like that?
Yeah.
Like that dude actually knows policy and like he's, intelligent. Excuse me, intelligent. I would love to see a debate between those two. I would pay for it. I would definitely
is Herschel already like the nominee? Like it's gonna be him?
It's probably gonna be him.
He hasn't been showing up.
He got
for the
endorsed
debates, though.
He got endorsed by Trump, didn't he?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think he's been showing up for debates. I think his people are just like, hey, please don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Please don't. The less you say, the better.
Yes.
But yeah, I think it's closer than you would think that it would be. I think the last poll that I saw was
54-44.
Yeah, 54-44. So anything could happen. But I don't know. I don't think he knows what he's talking about at all. I think he knows the general vibe that he's going for. He's running on vibes. He's like, I am good. Democrats are bad. Biden is the devil. Hunter Biden is worse than the devil. Trump is God. And I'm supporting
Fuck with your
God.
boy.
That's like the vibe that he's trying to. If he could just communicate that vibe without ever having to get into policy, I think there's a good chance he would win. But
I mean, he's 44%.
But every time he tries to talk about policy, people are like, "Okay, just get back to the vibes, Herschel."
That's not the vibe he's going for.
just run off vibes alone.
Run off vibes.
What was the other thing you wanted to touch on?
Hunter.
Oh, Hunter
Biden. So what? I've followed a little bit of Hunter Biden stuff. I feel like somebody's got his laptop, and every 3 months they're like, "Hey, I want to put out another picture that he has on there."
That's from my understanding. That's what happened. I haven't dove too much in the story. I just read a few tweets from some talking heads, and I guess basically something like that. I guess they got his iCloud or something like that, and I think it's started on 4chan, that lovely place, and have a whole bunch of pictures and videos of him doing crack that are circulating, weighing crack with an alleged sex worker in the background. And then one of the other ones is he has Joe under I think it's Pedo Peter or something like that. Yeah, Pedo Peter. As he has him in his phone as that. And I guess another thing I read, all this is unfounded. I don't know. This is what I'm reading from the John. I have not substantiated any of these claims. But the other one was, I guess there's some pictures or an admission of, I don't know if it's pictures, but an admission of him taking showers with him and I think his sister, underage. And I guess he's talking about her something. Like I said, all unsubstantiated.
There was something from Biden's daughter's diary that was found at a yard sale or some place, some random place, and there was an entry in her diary about taking showers with her dad, and she wrote parentheses probably inappropriate. But that's the extent of that. And then so you're saying that Hunter had something that referenced that. That's
what they said. I couldn't find it. So I went on one of the main tweets that was kind of breaking and stuff. And so you go under, and a lot of the stuff you can kind of filter through with some of the comments. And so some of the comments were so of course you'll find all these are the pedo elites and yada yada yeah. And then I look for rational people okay, where's the evidence? And then they'll show screenshots of this vaguely cryptic language of Hunter Biden talking to somebody, and it's not really the evidence of anything. And so I look, I couldn't find it. That was the extent of my research. I don't like it. I didn't care much after that, but from what I'm reading, that's what they're alleging him. Yes, that he took showers with Hunter too. But like I said, unsubstantiated, but that's what they're saying. And every time like somebody kept pressing somebody for evidence, this is just under that thread. It was to no avail. So I don't know, take it with a grain of salt. But it's like he's trending like in a very big way.
One of my main concerns with Hunter Biden is how much he loves to document all of his crimes. Like, if you were to make a list of like the top 5 things you should not take pictures of, nobody in their right mind should ever take a picture of, I would say right up there would be weighing your crack. Right? Like smoking crack, I could excuse that if you think that you look sweet, if you're like, you know, you're hitting the pipe, you're freebasing or whatever. There's a lot of smoke. It looks like a music video. That might be kind of cool. Maybe I could be talked into somebody being like, this is a cool picture, but like weighing your crack, documenting like for the police how much you have in case they want to pursue like distribution charges on you. Why would you ever take a picture of yourself weighing your crack?
It was a video too.
A video.
And then arguing with somebody in the background about how much more was on than she thought.
He's like, no, that's way too much crack. You're right. I'm going to take some of the crack off and save that for later.
At the risk of stating the obvious, I think it is because he was on crack.
It's a fair point, yeah.
Which can inhibit decision making somewhat.
Yeah. As an experienced user yourself, you can
never once
confirm
tried
that.
it, never will.
Yeah, Hunter Biden absolutely loves taking pictures of like the worst things that he does.
Yeah. My thing is like, how are we tying this to like Joe Biden, right? Like, because it was known he was on drugs, right? And like, I'm more empathetic towards people who are on drugs than most. But does Hunter affect anything legislatively? Like, is he in his administration at all? Not to my knowledge, but I could be missing something.
No, but there was the Ukraine thing, right? And I'm not entirely read up on that whole thing, but there was something involving that it did involve Hunter and Joe with some sort of Ukrainian business.
He was trying to secure an energy contract, and he was a consultant for some sort of overseas like gas producer or gas distributor. And they had him as a consultant probably for no other reason than the fact that he was the son of a vice president. And they thought that would give them a connection to, you know, whatever political connections that family might have. I don't think there's been any evidence showing that they were able to use any of those connections to actually like improve their business or to change policy. I don't think that ever happened, but I think that's probably what the goal was. I mean, think about it. If you're a Ukrainian or a Russian gas company and you want to pay Hunter Biden, you know, $400,000 a year, whatever the amount was, it's probably just so that you can use his contacts. But we haven't seen any evidence of that. And then he was trying to do the same thing in China, I think. And I don't think we ever saw any evidence of like an actual deal get pushed through.
So is it like, sounds like, because like I said, I haven't done any reading into that whole, I was just genuinely asking because I didn't know. But it just sounds like he's like the son of a politician who's kind of milking his dad's name to get greased.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Republicans are also saying, like, if this was a Trump child doing this, then the media would not stop talking about it.
That is true, though.
Which is true, but they also did do that, and we did talk about it.
Right.
And then Hunter's also doing it, and we are also talking about that.
We're talking about
I don't think the media at large is talking about that. Certainly not the way they did Trump's kids.
But I think that's the reason why is because Trump actually appointed his kids as part of his administration, though, like, and had them. They were a part of his administration. They were doing things, and so I think that's the difference. I think, and I don't know, I could be wrong about that. I could be wrong, but I don't think Joe appointed him to any kind of administrative duty, did he?
No,
I don't think he has a job or anything. But I mean, it was like when this all first started to come out, like your Twitter account would get banned if you said that this was a thing. It was Russian disinformation, remember?
Oh, the Hunter Biden laptop story, which is that's still a very weird story, the way that this all went down.
Well, this whole thing is weird. Like, the guy's doing crack with hookers, and like, he's a weird dude.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, the media.
That's not shame the with hookers part, though. You know, that's like consenting adults decided to exchange for services. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, sure. He's arguing about how much crack he has with someone.
There you go.
But like, I mean, the media, if you consider Twitter acting in its capacity as a company, part of the media, which it's one of the largest distributors of media in the world, has tried to like cover this up.
Mm-hmm.
So it is different.
They tried to cover up the laptop story because of how weird, like I think
this
chain
is all
of custody
very,
was behind it.
It's one long string of Hunter Biden shit.
Yeah, but I see the point where it's like he's not influencing policy. It's just kind of like gossip to talk about him.
Yeah, but I think there was a lot of talk about Trump's kids, regardless of policy or anything, that was the same.
Well, I mean, they were actively serving on his campaign,
but
and
I
then
think
his son-in-law was...
there was that before he even got elected, though. Like, it would have been that regardless of if they had jobs in the West Wing.
They also were more active on social media
conjecture.
too. Like Donald Trump Jr. is everywhere on Twitter.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's a major difference. One, Donnie Jr. peddles a lot of his dad's lies, like vehemently, and Ivanka. Who was Ivanka married to?
Kushner.
Yeah, he was actually involved in a lot of foreign deals. Like,
yeah,
and so they're very different in that sense. Sure, I think actually they talked about Obama's kids in the media, right, and in the blogosphere and all of that stuff. Right? I think if you're attached to a president, you're going to get talked about because everybody's looking for any kind of dirt, any kind of way. But I think it was very distinct in the Trump case because they were actually a part of his campaign. They were making deals abroad. Like I think that you don't think that's different.
No, I do. It is different, but
Oh.
I don't think it's reasonable to say that the media is covering Hunter Biden the same that they did the Trump kids, even regardless of the fact that that was the case. Like if one of the Trump kids did this and they were not in the administration in any capacity whatsoever, it would be on every channel you turn to all the time. Whereas this is just like lives on the internet, and even then it's tougher to find.
Yeah, I'm saying that's conjecture in my humble opinion.
I mean, it is because we'll never know, but I think most people would say that that's probably the case.
I think Hunter should have a podcast.
I think that would be
interesting to listen to.
It is.
I've actually never heard Cuz talk or nothing. I've heard nothing from him.
It's a very strange family they've got there. I'll go on record and say I like Jill. I like Dr. Jill Biden. I think that she seems like a very wholesome individual.
Mm-hmm. His granddaughters are fun.
Are they fun?
They're a good time. I follow his one granddaughter on TikTok. She's hilarious.
What does she do?
She just posts little funny videos. Well, she posts a lot with the Hunter Biden's like baby son, like the 2-year-old.
Okay.
But she's like funny. She just posts funny TikToks.
All right, so I might be in on the grandchildren.
Maisie, you should be the grandchildren. They're cool. Like they're cool East Coast kids whose grandpa's the president. So they like post.
It doesn't sound that cool.
Well, but they post Instagrams at the White House and they're like, oh, just taking a pic. But they're at the White House. I like them.
I like his dogs too.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see what percentage of Democrats don't want Biden to run in 2024?
I would guess 65.
You saw the story then?
No, I didn't.
It's 64.
Yeah, I mean that sounds that sounds right.
Yeah, and it was, I believe, 90% of Democrats under 30, 94% of those under 30.
Yeah.
I would love to meet the 6% of under 30 Democrats who are like, we need Joe back, fam.
Yeah, real.
Unearth yourself.
It could be just like what better option is there, but yeah, I would love to talk to some of those people.
I'll take Jon Stewart.
He said no.
I think Jon Stewart
so
would
weird.
be. I know, but I really think. I mean, I think he's up on policy. I think he's very well versed. He's obviously funny. He's engaging. I think he's a leaps and bounds better candidate than Joe Biden. I honestly do.
Oh, I do too. But I don't think that he would ever do it. I don't think that he has like any reason to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, why does like every competent person like have to be in the running for president? Like Jon Stewart being like a competent human being doesn't like.
Because I'm so sick.
I think he's But I think he's more than competent. Jon Stewart is actually very savvy, very, very witty, and he's very intelligent human being. I think he's more than just competent. He's not like another celebrity wants to run for president or is rumored to. I think he's got some good redeeming qualities.
I just think I'm out on celebrities as presidents.
I think the argument for Stewart is that he's gotten stuff done in the past around politics, like the 9/11 fund and making sure the first responders that were at ground zero, like they've got all these health issues that they've dealt with from breathing in that gas,
like inhalation,
and breathing in, inhaling all the building particles and things like that. They've been like left out in the cold by the government for the last 20 years, and he's actually been instrumental in raising awareness for him, going in front of Congress. And essentially,
which is a very passionate speech. It was really watch his speech, man. Watch his speech when he talks to Congress about that. It's like that's probably what moved the needle, honestly.
I think
I'm in on that.
I think we see anybody that is able to function like a normal human being, and we're like, please let them be president.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why can't we have someone like Jon Stewart, like who's a politician, be president? That like
there's nobody like that.
I know, because but that's the annoying part. Like that's what's so annoying.
Because good people,
politicians nowadays. Go ahead.
I was gonna say good people usually don't go into politics.
Like that's.
Facts.
And like that's what's so annoying, and with everything happening with like Roe v. Wade and like inflation and all this stuff, it's like I just want to I feel like I need to shake people like in the government, and I'm like just yell at them. And
this is why progressives, like I would consider myself somewhat a progressive, is that Democrats and Republicans are very much alike in the sense that not many of them are actually for helping people, helping working class people, and helping solve a lot of these issues that face us, but they're just for retaining their position in their office. And so like even like when I'm watching like Democratic debates against Republicans, I'm like, y'all are echoing talking points too, like the Democrats. Like they're not really listening, and they're not really having conversations to like either like debunk some of these claims or go into depth about some of these policy decisions. Like they're just spitting out talking points just the same, just on the other side. And it's like I'm not both sides of it. I'm just saying that there's not a lot. The reason that's why I love Bernie. When you listen to Bernie, like it's hard to debate with him because he actually knows what he's talking about. He knows the solutions, and he knows he has solutions. And he's researched, he knows the data points, when a lot of the opposition they're just talking. You're just saying words. And so but I think that's for a reason. A lot of these cats just want to keep their position. They don't want to actually change shit, or else they would.
It's like a job.
They have the power to.
Yeah, it's a job. Yes. Just like anybody else, they get a paycheck.
Yep. And they go home at night and
they get addicted to the power that they have in being a senator or a congressperson and all the trappings that goes along with that. So they're on TV all the time. They get a lot of retweets, a lot of likes, and they just want to keep that status. And so they're not willing to sacrifice anything for it.
Yeah, Jon Stewart, I mean, like, I agree with him. Why the fuck would you want to do that then?
Yeah, I don't think he'll ever want to do it. I don't know if he'd be a good politician. I don't know. He might get sick of it. I think that he's a smart guy. I think he's empathetic. And I think that he's got a lot of good qualities about him. But again, like, I don't know if that would translate into being a good president.
Like, I think I think you could be president.
Thanks, Mad Dog.
Yeah.
I decline.
Okay. But like, you seem to have all those qualities. Like, why doesn't PFT just be president? Like,
you're talking me into it now.
Yeah. Like, I
could definitely be flattered into running for president.
Yeah. I just don't understand.
Well, if enough of you guys like it.
Yeah. Okay. I guess
if I put out a Twitter poll.
Far be it from me to if the people want more PFT.
Like
I guess I'll just have to deliver.
I just don't get why people see like a competent person with like empathy that's like on the television and they're like president time.
PFT executive order. What is it?
Bring back mids. Like this is actually what pisses me off a lot about Joe Biden. Joe Biden is such a fucking moron. All he has to do, and this might not even be enough to get him reelected, but if he wasn't a fucking idiot, he would just legalize marijuana at a federal level. Boom. Done. He could do that. He could tell the CDC, or not the CDC, the DEA, like, hey, we're not doing this anymore. He has the power. Democrats have the power, but they don't do shit.
3 things that will absolutely guarantee Joe Biden's reelection: legalize marijuana, What was the other one?
Or put it to the states. Just say, okay, every state can make their own law about it.
Cancel
I'm cool with that.
debt.
Cancel student. That's what I was. Thank you, Betty. Cancel student loan debt and expand the court. Those three things would absolutely 1,000%
You
guarantee.
think that would be a popular thing to do?
Yes, by Democrats. Republicans don't want that shit because it would cease their power in the Supreme Court.
I think there's a big
Democrats
difference.
want it.
There's a big difference between like things that will piss off the right wing and things that are unpopular. So that packing the court, I think, would really piss off would very much piss off Republicans. But I don't think it's that unpopular if you put it to a poll nationwide.
I would have to look that up, but I think that would be pretty unpopular. I think there's a very vocal part of the Democratic Party that wants that right now, but I think there are even Democrats that would say that's probably not a good idea.
I think, yeah, like the centrists, like Joe Biden probably thinks it's not a good idea right now.
1,000%, which is why we don't fuck with him. But expanded court will get him the progressive support that he is seeking.
Well, so really the
student loan debt would all across the board. I'm talking about right and left, because I know Republicans. I know there are Republicans that say don't cancel student debt, but there are millions of Republicans with student debt that when that shit is wiped and they just got their money, they change their fucking tune. I don't know if they'll vote for them, but they'll change their tune on that.
There's also a big part of America that doesn't vote in elections. So anything that you do to appeal to them means a lot more than something that's just going to, otherwise we're just going to be split, 48 to 47, for the rest of our lives. But there's a big, probably like a third of the country didn't vote in the last presidential election. Maybe more than that.
Way
Maybe
more
40,
than that.
maybe
No,
40%.
I think it's a third of the country votes.
A third of the eligible voters vote?
Yes.
It was like 70 something.
No.
80 million?
A third of the country's population, so more of the eligible voters.
Yeah, so what, Biden got 74?
Something like that.
Trump had like
I thought he got 80. I thought he got 80. He didn't get 80? Let's see how many votes.
Around there, between 70 and 80.
So there's still a shitload of people that don't vote.
So that's like 130 million. So yeah, about a third of the country.
Yeah, so if you convince, a third of the people that don't vote to turn out for you, you're going to win in a landslide.
By the way,
hold on, 159 million people voted in the general election.
So that's 40.
There's 330 people in America, but that's eligible voters.
Right. So
I think there's more than 40% of eligible voters. I think it's like,
yes, I was saying 40% of the country, but yeah, of the electorate, yeah, probably half or a little bit more.
Yeah.
In a 2021 poll, 68% of Americans opposed adding seats to the Supreme Court.
Okay.
But that was before. That's what I'm saying. It was before Roe v. Wade.
Sure, but that's the most recent one I can find. A poll on that specific issue.
All right. Before we get into the main crux of our conversation, teed off. Big T. I want to set you up. Big T's Teed Off is brought to you by BetterHelp. BetterHelp is a big sponsor of ours. We appreciate them. How well would you take care of your car if you had to keep the same one your entire life? That's how our brains work. So why don't we treat them that way? How we care for our minds affects how we experience life, so it's important to invest time and care into keeping them healthy. There are plenty of ways to support a healthy brain, like learning a new language, taking power naps. There's also BetterHelp online therapy. BetterHelp is online therapy that offers video, phone, even live chat-only therapy sessions. So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. BetterHelp can help you. Therapy has helped me. Therapy has helped a lot of people. It's much more affordable using BetterHelp than in-person therapy as well. You can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours, and our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/dose. Talking about your problems, it helps them. That's betterhelp.com/dose. Big T, what are you teed off about?
Very quickly, before teed off, a poll from May by the same company, 65% were opposed with 26% in favor. And of Democrats, 41% were in favor and 40% were opposed to packing the court. And that was after it had been leaked, the Roe v. Wade decision. Okay, teed off. This isn't as much a societal commentary as it is just a shitty thing that happened to me. But JetBlue, Yesterday, I returned home from vacation. I'm ready to go home. I've had, and I never check a bag, but we were gone for a week. So like I didn't really have a choice. So I checked a bag, get back to LaGuardia, wait for the bag. 20 minutes goes by. The little office is right there. I'm like, hey, this is the one for the flight we're on. Yep. Still coming. 30 minutes goes by, 45 minutes. After an hour, I go back to the same guy. I'm like, you're positive that we didn't miss it? It's not on another carousel. Nope, your bags are coming. I stood there for 90 minutes and finally got my bag. And I was very pissed off for the rest of the day. I'm mad at JetBlue. And that's what I was teed off about yesterday. Also, people were still standing on the moving walkways, which I have already lamented about. But
90 minutes is insanely long.
It was the maddest I've been in some time.
What took them an hour and a half?
They were like, I guess JetBlue only had that one carousel or something. So they were backed up like 6 or 7 flights before. So there were other people who had been waiting their 90 minutes too when I got there. And so then they just had to do all those flights. And
now all of a sudden I'm not looking so dumb for taking that tiny little suitcase everywhere with me, right?
No, I
never have to wait.
I never
90
said
minutes for
you
that.
were dumb for taking a tiny suitcase. It was the look of the suitcase was funny, but
wait, so
no, I hate checking.
Yesterday, the exact same thing happened to me. But it was on United. I was in the airport for 2 hours. We landed at 7. I didn't leave the airport till 9 because everybody was just waiting in their bags. But to there, it wasn't. I don't think it was any kind of malfunction. I think there was a lightning delay, and so like they didn't want their workers out there. It was like hella lightning out there, and so I could understand it, but I was still sitting there for 2 hours.
Also, something else. I hope whatever TSA agent did this podcast reaches. I had the thing where they said we looked in your bag, whatever, because it had my PlayStation in it, which I assume set off some sort of, hey, there's a big electronic thing in here. And I had it strapped down. There's straps in this, so it was very secure. I itched, and it was just floating in my bag when I got it back. Thankfully, it still works, but to whatever TSA agent did that, didn't put it back the way you found it. Fuck you, I hate you.
I love that Big T flies with his PlayStation.
I wasn't going somewhere for a week without a PlayStation. Are you kidding me?
But we're
hang out with family?
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah, I was on vacation, but like there's still time that you're just chilling in the house at vacation. Like what are you supposed to do? Read? Not reading. Actually, I did get into audiobooks over this vacation.
What were you listening to?
I like it.
Currently listen to a book called The Club. It's about the rise of the Premier League in English soccer. Very good book. I might be an audiobook guy now. But
okay.
I'm not going to read it.
It counts. It counts.
You
as
can
reading.
tell it to me, but
it's actually a big debate amongst readers. Is the audiobook actually reading? It's
You're
a
getting the
big
information.
big debate.
Well, like
I don't disagree, but there's a lot of people who are like,
I love listening to podcasts like while I play video games and stuff. So I was like, it's just a really long podcast.
Oh, that'd be like sensory overload for me.
Yeah, I would not absorb.
No, I couldn't absorb either of the things that I would be doing.
No,
I couldn't with the video game that I play. Valorant, I gotta get calls out and stuff, tell people where they at, need to know where they at.
Yeah, if I'm just playing by myself though, I always listen to podcasts or something.
I think it's fuck it. I count that as reading.
Yeah.
Well then good. Then I was reading.
You're absorbing your stories.
Mm-hmm.
So Arian, did you have your PlayStation with you, or why did yours take 2 hours?
Not I think you
lightning
weren't
delay?
listening, PFT. I think there was a lightning delay outside.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Yeah,
I
you
know
did say
there was
that.
lightning. That's what it said. Yeah, so there was lightning today. But I almost could have went to jail, or maybe at least got questioned by the police. We went, and because we were gonna drive, I was picking the shorty up. We were gonna drive from Portland to Texas, but I wanted to stop in LA to visit the homie, and then in San Diego was my other homie birthday. So we did that, and by the time I got to San Diego, I was like, "Damn, I'm fucking done driving." So we decided to ship her car from San Diego to Houston, and just fly from San Diego to Houston. But in the car, she had a gun. All right, she has a gun, and so I forgot. And we had put it in our luggage. I forgot that we had packed it. I was just like, let's just fly. And so I flew with a gun underneath the plane. But luckily, I'm going through TSA, and I'm like, oh shit, there's a gun in her. It wasn't on her carry-on. It was in the where we checked. But as long as it's unloaded and in a secure thing, you're allowed to. But if that wasn't the case,
Do you have to like disclose that when you're?
They say you do, but we didn't, and so. There was definitely a gun in that motherfucker.
Wow, that would have been TMZ, man. Harvey would have been
hilarious.
so pumped to find out that Arian Foster
fuck
arrested
that dude.
with a gun
Fuck
at the
that
airport. Every
That'd
time
be crazy though.
it happens, like once every couple months, somebody gets arrested for having a gun at an airport. You always think to yourself, like, what an idiot. Why would you ever try to do this? But I guess sometimes, who amongst us hasn't had to ship a car from San Diego to Houston because they're sick of driving, and so they just have to load a gun up. Sometimes.
Who was the Jets player? Played at Alabama.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Defensive tackle. I can't think of Quinnen Williams.
he had a gun.
That was fairly recent.
He had a gun at the airport. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you didn't get busted for that. That would have been tough.
That'd have been funny. I don't think I got prosecuted. Maybe like a fine or some shit like that. But like, it's an easy mistake.
Just a fine, like it's Goodell, like your socks are too high.
Yeah, I don't think there's any jail time for like. Let's say it was loaded. Yeah, accidentally was loaded or something like that. Like I don't think. Like I think if you bring it through TSA, now that's different. Like yeah, that you might have to answer to like some FBI questions and shit like that. But
if you try to have
it was under the plane.
Yeah.
So I'm reading.
Yeah,
that's
it was
actually
under
what
the plane.
Quinnen Williams did. New York, New Jersey Port Authority police said Williams was arrested at 9:15 charge. Police said Williams had a permit in his home state of Alabama, but not New York, for the Glock 19 pistol he was carrying onto the flight.
Yeah, that's breaking a couple laws there.
Those charges were dropped.
And see, that's what I'm saying. Like if there's no like real intent, they'll probably let you go to fine or some shit like that. But if you actually try to shoot a pilot, then yeah, man, you probably gonna do some jail time.
They have the reinforced doors now to get in the cockpit. Trust me, I've tried to get in there. Not to like commandeer the plane, just to see what's going on, see what kind of hardware they got.
That's it. Trust me, guys, I had a flight simulator at the crib.
Check out the radar system on there. Yeah, I got back on the sticks last night for the first time in a while. Hadn't been in the skies because I've been at the at the Jersey Shore for the summer, and man, I miss flying. I was a little rusty though.
Miss those friendly skies.
I do.
I saw Top Gun Maverick. It is so fucking good.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Oh my God.
It's just a great movie.
I'm not an action person. I don't like action movies. I don't really care about those. My jaw was on the floor the whole time.
What was your favorite part?
I mean, when they do the mission and they like, no spoilers,
Yeah.
but also,
No, the movie's been out 2 months.
okay, so when they
If
like
you haven't
complete
seen
the
it.
mission, but also like the bar, like I love the little bar moments they had. Also, Penny and Mavericks, I like their little relaship. I thought
That's the only part I hated.
I thought it was nice. Like
Wait, hold on. Did you see the first one?
Yeah, like she's not in the first one.
She's alluded to.
Or she's alluded
when
to.
when did you see the first one?
For the first time recently.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Like,
Why?
so it's just not that big a deal to you, but like we have been, on the Top Gun lore for I don't know,
Yeah,
20,
I didn't grow
25
up with
years.
the Top Gun.
It was like Benny, bro. Why? It's so random ass. It just didn't make it. It seemed forced to us.
I love Meg Ryan, so I do wish Meg Ryan had a role in it again. And
Who's Meg Ryan?
What's her name in the first movie?
She was Goose's wife.
Oh yeah, she should have been in it for sure.
Oh, she's dead too.
Instead of this is what one thing I would have done to make it better. Instead of when they kick him out after Iceman, the thing that happens to Iceman,
Yeah.
after they kick him out, he goes to Penny and it's like venting to Penny. If he would have vented to who was the dude in the first one with the mustache?
Goose's wife, yeah.
No. It was the dude in the first one that was like his superior.
Yeah, I remember
What's
the
his
guy.
name?
The guy that was like always screaming at him about stuff. Was he Merlin?
No, not the ball guy. Not the ball guy. The guy when he went to Top Gun, and he was like, I'll fly with you any day, Maverick. That guy.
Okay, let's see. I think it was Jester. Was it Jester?
No, Jester was the one he was flying against at Top Gun. It was like the dude that was better than Jester.
I'm looking it up right now.
I bet there's somebody listening and like, I fucking know it.
Was it Tom Skerritt?
I don't know his real name.
I think it was Tom Skerritt. He definitely had the mustache in the first one.
What was his character? Yeah, I guess it was Viper. No, it's Viper. Yeah. So Viper, if he comes back and like he finds Viper to talk to about it, and if Viper's like on some like do what you've always done, Maverick, that'd be way better. But rather than you go to Penny, who don't really know what the fuck going on, like you know what I mean? I was like, that was a hell of a movie scene. But if he would have went to Viper, that'd have been a fire, or even just
the Iceman thing was very sweet.
It was good.
But it's such a good movie. Also, how do they actually film all of the plane scenes?
So my understanding is that Tom Cruise is a pilot.
He's a real pilot?
Yeah, so he can fly some of the stuff, but a lot of the scenes are some of the Hornets have a front seat and a back seat.
Okay. Are the Hornets the planes that they were in most of the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so there's a camera on the actors in the back seat while there's a real pilot in front of them pulling all the G's.
Because I was going to say, because their face droops as if they're actually getting the G's.
Yeah, they were really in the plane.
That's real.
Holy shit. Because my mom said that, and I was like, I don't know if I believe you.
Yep.
No, that's true. Yeah. When you watch the making of.
Besides, I mean, Hangman can choke.
He can choke. He was a great villain, though. Like,
great villain.
You need somebody like that.
So that actor, I like him separately. Like, I like him as an actor. He's in like a bunch of rom-coms. So I saw him pull up to the bar, quite handsome. And I was like, oh my God, you're here. All of that cast, like, I can't even describe to you how attractive every single person is in that movie. Mm-hmm. Every single person in that movie is so hot. And they're always like oily and greased up.
Yep. That's the key to good movies. Just make everybody hot.
I mean, the football scene, I mean, I was aghast.
That's kind of what bothers me about Hollywood, honestly. Is like, there's no real people in it. Like everybody, like Tom Cruise is like, what, 50 something? And he's like, got a nice body. Like, where the dad body?
I don't mind.
Or like, where's like a regular, like chubby woman? Like, chubby older woman. Like I would have liked that too. Like that's why Charlie wasn't in it. Charlie wasn't in it because she just looks like a 50-year-old, 60-year-old woman supposed to look. I happen to like those kind of women. I
also like how the tag team, one of the tag teams that they chose was Bob and the girl. Shoot, what's her name?
Phoenix.
Mm-hmm. I like how they picked the girl. I like that. That was a girl boss moment by her. It was such a great movie. Like I was so taken aback by how much I like enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
Told you thought we was capping honestly 5 times, bro.
I didn't think you were capping. I'm not into that kind of movie, and I feel like you and I are probably not into the same exact type of movie.
No, I love rom-coms. You gotta be fucked up, Maddie.
Okay, sorry, but
I love rom-coms, bro. That matter of fact, that might be my favorite genre of movies, bro.
Good call.
Yeah, I love them. Bro,
like I love them, bro.
All I watched while I was home was just Top Gun and rom-coms, but I
love rom-coms.
I did not think I would enjoy the action as much as I did. And I was like, are they going to
It's well done.
Yeah.
It's so well done. Like I think it could reach any kind of fan. Like it's just a really well done movie.
Like it was just so good.
They did a good job, man.
I love the whole squad is obsessed with Top Gun.
I get it. I would go see it again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because you have to watch it in the theater.
Yep.
I've seen it five times. Five times.
I can't imagine watching it for the first time just in my house.
Big T, do you agree with the diagnosis?
I'm giving Tom Cruise. I'm giving Tom Cruise at least $80.
Do you agree with the diagnosis that Hangman is attractive?
I don't remember what he looks like in the movie.
His name's Glenn Powell. You can look him up.
He was really
specifically in Top
real cocky
Gun,
pilot,
little cocky pilot who thinks he's the best.
Who's talking shit to Gopher, not Gopher,
Rooster.
Rooster.
Yeah, he was the alternate, so he was waiting on the deck during the mission. He was waiting in the plane.
I also what do you think he's attractive?
Oh, I don't care.
Okay. Do you? Can I ask a question?
But is he? But is he though?
I don't know.
He is in this movie. I'll tell you that much.
Sure. Yeah, I think everybody in that movie they intentionally got attractive people.
Yeah.
So he is attractive.
And John Hamm.
I'm sure to women he is.
Yeah, he is.
What about John Hamm?
Yeah, he seems like a very attractive person.
Seems like it. He is. I'll put my stamp of approval on it. Can I ask a question? A plot question? Now, I wish they went more in depth on the Rooster and Maverick beef.
Yeah.
What does he mean by like I pulled the papers? I know it repeals like his submission, but like.
So when Rooster was applying for the Naval Academy, which is where you would go after high school,
right?
That's your college that you would go to.
Got that.
Tom Cruise
Was like
Maverick was like, no, you're not getting in because
that seems like a breach of authority.
Because Rooster's mom asked him.
Right, but I also don't get why you wouldn't just be like, your mom told me to. It was her dying wish. Like, I feel like that would negate something.
He explains as to why he didn't do that. He said because his mom died,
and he doesn't want to resent the mom.
Exactly. He said you already resent me because of your dad's death. Right. Like, there's no reason to resent her for the same reason. He's like, let her live. So he took that on, which is gangsta ass move. That's fire.
But I feel like if you were like, it was her dying wish, like you could be like, okay, I'll honor my mom in her last.
Why risk it? Why risk it though? Just eat it. Just eat it. Why risk it?
I guess
it's
he
a good
did,
move.
and then they
it's a good move.
It's
a solid move.
Buddied up.
It's a solid move by him.
Yeah, but I was trying to figure that one out for part of the movie. But it was such a good movie. I'm so happy I went and saw it.
Yep.
I had to drive 30 minutes to my nearest movie theater. It was awesome. I enjoyed every second of it.
Did you see any good rest stops while you were home?
I went to a rest stop yesterday.
Tell me about it.
Okay, so this one I went to was in Freedom, Ohio, which Big T would have loved. And it was, I had to re-download. I don't know if I said this on the show, but my mom definitely told PFT this fact when she was in town. I used to have a rest stop app growing up where I could track where I was on the turnpike and then from there be like, okay, this is the rest stop that's coming up, and then you can see what food things are at it. So yesterday I was driving back. I drove back to New York, and we were on the turnpike. Had to see, I was like, I need breakfast. What are we looking at? And the rest stops in Ohio are gonna like start going under construction to be vamped up.
Oh, they're gonna upgrade.
So I went to a rest stop yesterday that I haven't been to before, and they're gonna have a Jimmy John's, a Dunkin', which the Dunkin' was the only thing open. So I got a Dunkin' from a scary little lady, but she gave me a nice little sausage, egg, and cheese. Jimmy John's, a little fresh market thing, and then something else that was like a premium fast food place, like a Jimmy John's type of moment. I'm so excited. I'm so happy about it. I was so excited. I made my mom take a picture of me in front of it. I was so happy. I was so excited. I got to go to a rest stop while I was home. It was wonderful. It was fantastic. My mom yelled at me for suggesting we went to Long John Silver's while I was home.
That's fair. That's good parenting.
Yeah, which I was kind of talking her through like what I would get when I was younger. I don't think I recognized how weird it was that I could get corn on the cob from a fast food restaurant when I was that little, because it came on a stick. So that was like, that's awesome. It's so weird.
It is, yeah.
But I was so excited.
Eating at Long John Silver's, bro. Get out of here.
Well, that's what she said, and I didn't get to have any Long John Silver's.
Shout out to moms.
But I had a lot of nostalgia this weekend. A lot of rest stops. A lot of thought about Long John Silver's. Good times and Top Gun.
It's the most Ohio thing of all time to be like that excited about maybe getting a Jimmy John's and a rest stop.
But it's not even an Ohio thing. That's just a me thing. Like, no one gives a fuck about it besides me. And I walked in and I was like, Mom, look, it's under construction. And she was like, I could not care less. Yeah, and it was in Freedom, Ohio, which I thought was a little ironic.
I'm positive I may have witnessed a body dump as well. I'm driving down so we're driving out down the coast of California. So we decided to leave like at 8 at night or 9 at night from Portland. And then so we stopped in like outside the Bay. And so it's like 3, 4 in the morning. It's like some pulled up gas station, some stop where there's nothing or nobody around. And there's this car parked in front of a dumpster with his lights on. This is like 4 in the morning. And I'm just filling up the gas and I'm looking like, bro, what the fuck are you doing there? And there was just like a nefarious activity. And then Shorty was like, yo, I gotta go to the bathroom. I was like, you hold that shit because there's something going on over there. I cannot, I'm gotta get up out of here. So I dipped. That shit was weird, dog.
Wow. Hey, did you read the papers afterwards? You checked the news?
Nah, man. I'm on my business.
See any bodies? I don't know. Maybe we should look that up.
Ain't no telling, man. I don't know what city I was in. I would be interested, but it was weird, dog. Like, cause there was a dumpster and like there's a car parked in front of it, lights on, car running at 4 in the morning, dog. No, it was like 3 in the morning, and there's nothing around. Like you could see the stars. Like you know how when you're not around the city, like the stars pop out more. Like it's like one of those. That shit was weird, dog.
If it were me and I were dumping a body, I would probably turn the lights off on my car, though.
True. But there was a lot of ruffling going on, and I just wanted to get up out of there. It wasn't my business.
Whatever was happening was not good.
Nah, that was definitely nefarious activity.
In my
1000%.
in my intern interview, you guys asked where I would take a dead body, and it's not where that is. Got to go to a golf course.
That's an intern question.
Yeah, when you weren't on that episode, but when I was interviewed to be the intern for Macrodosing, I think Big T or PFT asked me, like, where would you put a dead body? And I said, golf course pond, obviously.
Golf course is a good, especially if there are like alligators on the course.
Yeah, well, yeah, that would actually help my case. Where I live, I didn't have alligators, but I could take them if I committed a crime in Florida, which most people do.
Why would I take a dead body?
Take a dead body to a golf course pond. But someone DM'd me right after that saying that they clean out the pond every couple of years to get, like, you pick up balls and whatever falls in there.
Depends on who the body is.
Yeah, but if I put a cinder block on it and then it just starts to decompose because it's in gross water, I feel like I'm fine.
I think we got the Hudson River right here. That's a good option. The East River too.
But don't you think there's too many people watching you?
Maybe.
Like, I think it's too busy of a place. If
Maybe.
you go to a golf course at night, who's gonna notice?
Maybe go out to the Meadowlands. That's where they did on The Sopranos.
Isn't that where Billy wanted to go for something?
Probably. R.I.P. By the way, Tony Sirico.
Polly
Walnuts, no longer with us. Maybe one of the best episodes of TV of all time is the Pine Barrens episode of The Sopranos.
I haven't seen The Sopranos in full length.
You should watch it.
I know. I'm watching Seinfeld right now.
That's it's quite a bit different.
Yeah.
Seinfeld still, some of the episodes really do hold up.
Some of them don't.
With the exception of, like, most of the episodes could be solved if one character had a cell phone. Mm-hmm. Then kind of everything, the plot falls apart at that point. But it was pre-cell phones. But still, I don't know, it's still funny. I watched a couple episodes this weekend too. You can see where Curb Your Enthusiasm came from. Mm-hmm. Like, the plot lines are kind of similar. It's like one person gets in a misunderstanding, everybody else's storyline ends up resolving in a way that's, like, interconnected to the main storyline of
the
it.
Larry David-ness of it all.
Yes.
Comes out.
Yeah. Hang on, I gotta sneeze.
Bless you.
All right, so you guys want to get into Donald Trump?
Whoop.
Let's talk a little Trump. We've talked about him on the show, but never really done anything resembling a deep dive into him. We can do some of his greatest hits. Let's just start from the beginning real quick, though. So he was born in 1946. He was the fourth of 5 kids. You know what his dad's name was?
I do, but I'm looking at it. So
his dad's name was
Ebenezer?
Fred Christ Trump.
Really?
Oh, I did not know the middle name.
Yeah.
Ebenezer.
Middle name Christ, last name Trump. And so he was born in Brooklyn. His dad, Fred Trump, got Donald into the real estate business. His dad, Fred Trump, was kind of a slumlord and would employ a lot of dirty tricks to kick people out of the apartments, especially if they were rent controlled. He also may or may not have been arrested for taking part in a KKK march in Brooklyn. He was definitely arrested at a KKK march in Brooklyn for failure to disperse. It's unclear whether he was marching in the parade, if he was there to disrupt the parade. I don't know what he could have been there for, but it's not a great sign if you're arrested at a KKK parade for failure to disperse. Not ideal. I don't know the details behind it, but anyways, so Fred was an apartment builder. He actually used the FDR business loans in the New Deal to build his apartments. So, like, you could say like, in a weird way, Donald Trump got his start in business and might not be where he is today if it weren't for socialism. Isn't that interesting? So, yada, yada, yada. A lot of stuff happens. He goes to military school. He goes to Wharton School of Business. He tried to buy the Colts in 1981. That would have been something.
Was that when Irsay bought him, or has he owned him that long? Or was that
Irsay's
later?
family has owned him for a while. I don't know what happened in 1981 that made that, like, the strike point for Trump to decide to try to buy it. I would like to actually find out more about that and how
he tried to buy the Bills too.
He tried to buy the Bills later on. Yeah, that was just like 15 years ago, 10 years ago, I think, with the Bills. Right. But he's always been interested in sports. Tried to buy the Colts in 1981. Ended up buying the New Jersey Generals in the USFL. And he convinced all the other owners of all the other teams, because it was originally spring league. So this was like, there were probably some other spring football leagues that had been attempted before that, but this was really the first big spring football league. He was like, America loves football. Why don't we do a league that takes place in the springtime? Now I don't know if that was Trump's idea to do that, because when he bought the Generals, the direction he steered the league in was, hey, let's compete against the NFL and then make the NFL have to buy us out once we steal a lot of their talent. So he encouraged the other owners to go along with the plan to make it into a fall league and then sue the NFL for being a monopoly and try to get bought out. They ended up winning the lawsuit, but you know what their grand total? You know how much they won?
It was $1, right?
Yeah, $1. The judge gave them $1, and then the league went bankrupt because they're like, well, this was our big business strategy because we can't compete against the NFL. So I think the final payment was like $3 after all was said and done, but the judgment was for $1. And
what was the justification for paying them $3?
I think it was just the judge had to determine who won the lawsuit, and the USFL won the lawsuit on the grounds of like the legalities of it. But the judge also ruled that the only reason that USFL found themselves in a position to sue the NFL was because they changed their entire league strategy to compete with them just to sue them.
Oh my God.
So the judge was just like, yeah, you guys kind of win, but your damages are $1. So here you go. So the other owners in the USFL obviously hated him for what he did. Actually, Jeff Pearlman wrote an interesting book. I think it's called Football for a Buck, where he like goes back and chronicles all the ins and outs.
There's the 30 for 30 too.
Yeah, that's right. Was that also called Football for a Buck?
No, it was Small Potatoes.
That's right. Yeah, he signed Doug Flutie. He was a big believer in Doug Flutie. Coming out, he thought he was just a winner. And listen, I tend to agree with him when it comes to Doug Flutie. But it didn't go so well in terms of the USFL stuff.
I played a pickup basketball game with Doug Flutie in San Diego when I was in high school. We had this park that we always went to, and one day Doug Flutie just showed up. It was weird as hell.
Was he any good?
It was cool though. He was all right. I mean, we was giving him the business, but he was okay. He made a clutch shot at the end, but he wasn't like nobody was. Doug Flutie could ball. Like, he was just a solid, serviceable pickup guy.
Kind of like how he was at quarterback.
I think it was a little more effective than that.
At quarterback? He was a little guy. We had Flutie on Part of My Take, and I think he was like 5'9". He was about my height.
Yeah, he was small.
Shocking that he was like such a good quarterback, but he was fun to watch. That's cool though that he just showed up and played. Like not in a way where there were like cameras around. He just showed up and was like,
Nah, he was just there. Boy, there's this white dude that used to go to all the time named Dutch. I wonder what Dutch is doing, man. But he was like tattooed up. This was white chocolate before white chocolate. My man's had the best hand, one of the best handles I've ever seen. It was wild. He was nice. Dutch, damn. Brought back some memories.
Street ball legend.
Shout out to Dutch. Yeah, he was.
So Trump settles in, wants to have a family. He marries Ivana Trump, and the story behind his prenup with Ivana Trump was pretty funny in terms of like how he goes about negotiating things. Do you know how that went, Big T?
I do not.
I think he offered her like $20,000 a year if they ever got divorced, and she was like, "No, that's not going to cut it. Let's increase the amount." So they negotiate back and forth until it's substantially more. I forget the exact number. And then after they reach an agreement, right before the wedding, Donald Trump's like, you know what? Let's just go with my first offer, and that's what we're going to stick with. And so they had like a long, protracted legal battle about that. She started having his kids, and he said that he wanted 5 kids because if he had 5 kids, that would guarantee in his mind that at least one of his children would turn out to be a winner like he was. That he did the math. Like
I've heard worse logic.
I was one of 5 kids. My other brothers and sisters are losers. So I want to have 5 kids because I'll probably have 4 dorks and then 1 winner. I think we can all agree who he has anointed to be the winner of his children, right?
Ivanka.
Yeah, Ivanka. I think he looks at his family the same way that he looked at like his brothers and sisters growing up, where he was like, okay, Ivanka is the new Donald.
Definitely not Tiffany.
Tiffany. He hates Tiffany.
Yeah, he's out on Tiffany.
What happened there?
I don't. Well, she's not with his first wife, right?
Yeah, she's with somebody else.
She's
Marla Maples, maybe?
She's the only child, of the second wife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the first 3 are Ivana, then she's with the second one, Maples or whatever, and then Barron is with
Melania. Barron, future NBA talent. Chet Holmgren better watch out, man.
Very similar body types.
No. Barron's got meat on his bones.
You think he's stronger?
Barron, right now, I think could back Chet Holmgren down in the paint.
Maybe. How tall is he?
6. I don't know. I haven't seen a picture in a while.
6'4", 6'5"?
I think taller than that.
Really?
Barron?
Yeah.
I think he said they measured him at 6'6".
Damn.
And he's like 16?
Yeah. Did you see that picture of him the other day?
This says 6'7".
Yeah, he's ginormous.
He's like LeBron James.
Dude, he's huge.
That's outrageous. So he'll probably be 6'9", 6'10".
Yeah.
Oh,
be on the lookout. NBA scouts out there.
Do you think he's like an athletic 6'9", or do you think he's like a dangly 6'9"?
I think you have to learn to be an athletic 6'9". Like nobody's born to be athletic at that height.
You have to get to know your body.
You just have an overactive thyroid.
I think you have to experience like your body for a couple years at a certain size to get used to it.
You have to like break in your own body.
Basically. Yeah. So like, if he stops growing, it'll probably take him like 3-4 years to really maximize his talents.
But at that point, he's out on sports.
Yeah,
he's already 16.
I mean, he loves soccer. That's the crazy thing about him.
Also, what 6'10" person is playing soccer?
It's not even that good to be a goalie if you're that big because it's hard to get down on the ground, block the low shots. Although Hakeem Olajuwon was an outstanding goalie.
How tall was he?
Growing up, 7 feet?
Has to be, yeah.
The dream.
Greatest center of all time.
Oh, there we go. Let's debate.
It's my hot take.
What about Shaq?
You look at the early clips of Shaq in his prime in Orlando, and Hakeem was giving him the business, locking him down. Hakeem has the most blocks of all time. He's, I would say definitively, but I understand people's argument. He's the most mobile big man of all time, sweetest post moves of all time. 2-time NBA champion. I mean, my man was the one. Hakeem's my center GOAT.
When you watched Hakeem play, you definitely had that sense about you where you couldn't believe a big man could move like that.
It was unreal.
Like his pivoting, the dream shake is an all-time move.
Their stats are very similar, but Shaq has him edged by a little in pretty much everything.
Shaq also played on better teams, I think.
Well, Hakeem played with like Clyde Drexler, and
he was
on very good teams.
Those 2 seasons, yeah. 2 or 3 seasons.
Is that all?
The Rockets were a problem. Well, they won the titles in between Jordan's titles.
Right. But Drexler was on them for longer than 2 or 3 seasons?
Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah, but you're talking about the years that they won.
The years that they won. Then Charles Barkley joined, and they sadly did not win. But yeah, Hakeem was a beast. I mean, Wilt is up there, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
I don't think they kept track of blocks when Wilt played. That's
true. But all I can do is go off the stats. But I know Wilt is widely regarded as probably one of the best players of all time. I think it's a generational bias from my end. I can understand. Like I said, it's debatable, but that's what I feel. I know, and I grew up in the Shaq and Hakeem era. Like that was my era, and so I've seen Hakeem dominate Shaq. Even though I'm a Laker fan, Wilt was before my time when they was playing against like milkmen and shit. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Bill Russell,
same.
He probably had more blocks. I bet you Hakeem and yeah. I mean, it's tough to say because like you can't really do the compare eras thing because the game was so different. There was no 3-point line. Game was more about like being on the inside back then than it was now. But Barron Trump's going to be a problem. That's all I'm saying. And it's interesting that he named him Barron because one of my favorite Donald Trump stories is that he used to have a PR person that worked for him, like his vice president of PR, named John Barron. You guys remember John Barron?
No.
So John Barron was, if like the New York Post needed a scoop or needed a source about what was going on in the Trump enterprise, or like who Donald Trump was dating, a man named John Barron would call up these newspapers and be like, yeah, Donald Trump is dating all these supermodels right now. He actually has 3 or 4 girlfriends, and they're all incredibly attractive. He's really doing well for himself. They're having a banner year at Trump Industries, or the Trump organization. And a recording of a phone call, a message from John Barron came out. This is back in like, I think it was either right before he was elected or right after he got elected. John Barron was just Donald Trump. He would just call up the New York Post and pretend to be an employee of his own organization named John Barron, which is just, it's a great example of like a name that Donald Trump would come up with because he loves, sounding strong and projecting strength, which is why like he loves his name Trump and he puts on everything. Barron is another big power name for him.
He obviously likes it a lot.
He loves the name Barron, so he named his most recent child after the fictional caricature that he invented back in the day. But go listen to those voicemails of John Barron talking to people because it's literally just Donald Trump. And then he was like, no, of course it's not me. There was somebody else that took care of my business. No record of this guy, by the way, because it was just Donald Trump. But then, so Trump, he has a great time in the 80s. I should say also in the 70s, he doesn't go to Vietnam because he had bone spurs, but he did experience his own personal Vietnam, which was not getting STDs by having sex with multiple women. That's what he said was his own personal Vietnam. Was serving overseas, was having sex in New York in the 1980s and not getting any bad STDs.
Listen, it was a wild time.
It was, but it's also weird that he doesn't drink, and the reason why he doesn't drink is because of his brother, who was an alcoholic and he died, and he always looked at that as like a big warning sign. Like, not a bad thing to not be a drinker, but it's also crazy to be like just having copious amounts of sex all the time and not ever drinking. Like, I imagine that most of his life was going to parties and these like upscale events, alcohol flowing everywhere, just not drinking. That would be very tough for me to do.
That and parties are fucking boring sober. Like, like people standing around talking. It's just boring, bro.
I agree. I feel like you have to. I would not go to a club. I know Big T would not go to a club.
That's correct.
But I wouldn't go to a club. I wouldn't go to like late night cocktail parties if I wasn't drinking anything at all. That to me sounds just like the worst.
Yeah,
time
like
ever.
dinner and events, I could understand. Like, those are probably fun, network and stuff like that. But if you're going to like a party or like a club, like that's just boy, everybody's like faded, having fun, dancing, and you just standing there creeping. That's kind of weird, actually. Now I'm thinking about it.
So he was a Democrat for a while, and like you'll hear in our interview with Michael Cohen, a lot of it was transactional. He was just on like whatever he needed to be in order to help his business, in order to help his personal life, in order to help his image. And then when Obama ran for president, that's when Trump started to get really into politics and be outspoken, and he would talk about like the long form birth certificate, where was he born, all that stuff. He like teamed up. You remember Sheriff Joe?
Yeah.
Joe Arpaio?
I fucking dweeb.
You're not a fan of Sheriff Joe?
He's a fucking dweeb, man.
He was like, there should never be a celebrity sheriff in America.
I agree. 1,000%.
I feel like that should be a red flag for everybody. Like, why does this public servant care so much about like being on late night talk shows and like having his picture taken and put in papers? That should probably not be the first thing that a sheriff should be looking to do. But Trump teamed up with him to try to uncover the long form birth certificate, claimed that he had proof of Obama not being born in the United States. And that was like his first foray into American politics, and it put him on the national stage. He flirted with running a lot. I personally never thought that he was going to run. I thought that he always liked the idea of saying that he might run without, having to do any of the dirty work and all the appearances and all the stuff that goes along with running for office. I didn't think that he would ever want to be into that.
Do you think he wanted to win?
I do not.
I don't think he did either.
Don't think it.
I
think he just wanted to garner some momentum and some attention for his brand and his shows and everything that he had going on. And then more than halfway through, it was like, yo, this shit is working.
See, I think once, he wanted to beat Hillary, but he didn't want to be president. Once he won, he was like, yeah, I won. And then he's like, shit. I kind of have to, be the president.
Yeah.
And I think we all agree, I don't think he really wanted to do that.
I think he wanted to win, but he didn't want to be.
Right.
And, he was having a pretty good career resurgence. In the 80s and 90s, he bought a bunch of casinos, and some of those didn't do so well. He had to file for bankruptcy, I think, 3 times with his casinos, which is tough to do. To go broke owning and operating a casino is not easy.
Generally good business to be in.
Yes. And the way that he was able to get his casino licenses was actually pretty funny. So he had mob connections. His lawyer, Roy Cohen, was the mob lawyer. And he was widely known as being one of the biggest attorneys for organized crime. And this dude, if you don't like Donald Trump, Roy Cohen is probably, I think objectively, you would look at the two of them and be like, Donald Trump is a saint compared to Roy Cohen. He was like the hatchet man, the fixer of all fixers. Roy Cohen was just like an evil dude that prided himself on being just like a bad human being that won all the time. But he was in charge of keeping the mob safe and keeping the mob out of prison. And so Roy Cohen helped him work out business deals with the mob when he was building Trump Tower, when he was building some of the casinos where the mob would be getting kickbacks on the different types of cement that they were using for it. And then, helped him get in the good graces of the casino licenses, the gaming board in New Jersey to operate the casinos. And then later on, Donald Trump would write in his own books talking about how he was able to lie on his applications to the gaming board, and Roy Cohen helped him out with all that. And then the gaming board had to be like, no, this isn't what happened. He admitted to what he did after the fact, but the gaming board couldn't do anything about it at that point because it would make them look bad that they had approved it if they admitted that there were mistakes and stuff like that. So Trump became a casino guy, and he started to expand his brand, but then he went bankrupt a few times, and then he hit the golden ticket when he got into television. So when he got on The Apprentice, I think we can agree The Apprentice was good television, right?
Great show.
I loved The Apprentice.
Celebrity Apprentice rocks.
Yeah. He played the part of being the egotistical boss perfectly.
Great theme song.
And he is good at reading people too. Let's be honest. Donald Trump, if he has skills, it's figuring out what everybody's angle is, what their weaknesses are, what their strengths are, and cutting through all the bullshit. Yeah, and firing people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he loves to fire people. He said that before, that firing people is good because it streamlines his business. But I think he just likes the act of, demonstrating power over somebody. But The Apprentice was good television.
Money, 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 money.
He made a lot of money doing The Apprentice, expanded his brand tremendously. And I thought that he would be content just being on TV, being king of the ratings. It gave him something he could point to also and be like, I'm number one. Objectively, look at this. I'm the best TV star that you have.
Well, in fairness, if that's what he cared about, he didn't lessen that by becoming president. He was still king of the ratings, much more so.
Well, he started to take credit for CNN's ratings. His enemies' ratings.
The cable news networks will never match what they were able to do in those 4 years.
Never. And when they would cut into his live appearances and the rallies, the networks love that shit.
As much as Joe Biden's many shortfalls are covered, every day. Joe Biden is not covered half as much as Trump was.
No.
You couldn't turn on a TV.
Reason for that, though.
Sure. But, you could not turn on a TV channel and they were talking about anything other than Trump. Like, that's all it was for 4 years.
Yeah, it's because he was the sitting president saying some of the most outlandish shit that you could possibly say. Like, of course they're going to cover it. I mean, they shouldn't, but that's what happens when entertainment is woven in with news. But they didn't have a choice. I think it was unprecedented. They've never seen a politician be as brash and honest and dishonest all in one. And so it was just like a walking circus. And so it was ratings heaven.
It became professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
When he got on that stage in Cleveland for the first time in 2015 with the 12 other candidates or however many there were at the RNC debates, and he just went full heel.
The first question was, you've called women pigs, this, that, and the other. And he said, only Rosie O'Donnell.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was watching it with my friends. This was like right before we all went to college. And we were all watching it. And I just remember being like, this guy is out of his mind.
And it was funny watching the different people that were running for the nomination try to play his game and fail in the different tactics they would use to clap back at him. Yeah. So like Rand Paul at one point was on that stage, and he was like, this man is unpresidential. He insults women. He insults the disabled. He insults physical appearance. We don't need a person like that running the country. And then Donald Trump was like, Rand, I've never once insulted your appearance. And believe me, there's a lot of material there to work with. And then the whole crowd just like laughed at Rand Paul. It's like, oh, he called you short and ugly without saying anything about it. Like he implied it. And
you know what I like in it too? He raised the bar, well, maybe lowered it. But he changed the standard in that which politicians act. So it's like I look at it like Muhammad Ali, right? When Muhammad Ali, his brand was like so like mouthy, and you're like, now all boxers are like that. You have to be like that in order to promote yourself. And so Donald Trump changed the landscape of politics, and where all politicians are now starting to do that, especially Republicans. Like, that is the brand. Call them out. Make sure that they know their pieces. Like, all that. Like, that is the brand. He changed that game. I think he forever changed political discourse in this country.
Wow, Donald Trump is the Muhammad Ali of politics from Arian Foster.
That is not it. Do not clip that shit.
They both didn't serve in Vietnam.
Mark the timestamp down.
they don't do that shit, Maddie. I will block macrodosing. They both didn't serve in Vietnam. Mm-hmm. For very different reasons.
Yeah, one went to prison for not going to Vietnam. Exactly. And the other got elected president.
Look at that.
So yeah, Trump did break people's brains a little bit when he was running. I remember Marco Rubio tried to like embody the voice of Donald Trump. He tried to play Trump's game against him, and like at one point insinuated that because he's got small hands, he's got a small dick. And then everybody was like, oh my God, what's Trump going to say to this? And Trump just basically at the next debate came on stage, was like, just so you know, I've got a great penis. It's like, it's a perfectly great penis. And then everyone was like, holy shit, what the hell is going on?
There's no problem there, I can assure you.
That's
what he said.
No problem there.
Man. Wow. And everybody, Ted Cruz tried to do the same thing. He got swatted in the roasting debate, and then ended up just giving it up to him. It's just, Ted Cruz might be the worst, bro.
Everyone hates Ted Cruz.
Oh my God.
Especially his family. But when he was at that debate and Trump was like, where was your dad the day that JFK was assassinated? Oh, he was there. Like, implied that his dad killed JFK.
Insane. Did he call his wife ugly too?
He tweeted a meme that was saying like, here's Donald Trump's wife, here's Ted Cruz's wife. Any questions? Something along those lines. It was a very unflattering picture of Heidi Cruz. And yeah, essentially called her ugly. He didn't say it out loud in those words, but that's very clearly what the message was. And then said that he was going to spill the beans on his wife. Don't know what that meant, but I don't think he ever had to spill the beans because Cruz started campaigning for him shortly thereafter. But he just made like some of our nation's most egotistical politicians, like Chris Christie, for example. Chris Christie was like, he thought that he could do no wrong. He was like the world's biggest bully, to the point where I think when he left office, what was his approval rating in New Jersey? Like 5%, something stupid like that. Chris Christie dropped out of the presidential race just to be the first person to publicly support Donald Trump, with the understanding that he would get the nomination for vice president. And then Donald Trump was like, well, you're fat, I can't have you on the ticket. And also, when you get COVID, I'm not going to help you stop yourself from dying. So good luck with all that. So he just makes people like kiss his ass. And then they always do. No one ever seems to learn the lesson from it. People want to kiss his ass, and then he eventually will turn on them because he's very good at one thing, and that's promoting himself, and doesn't really care that much about anybody else that's in his orbit. So do we want to get into any of the greatest hits of Trump?
Yeah, let's get it.
Big T, what do you got?
When you say biggest hits, like moments,
Just moments.
tweets,
Just moments.
I mean, and I guess, I mean, his biggest hits are all like negative in a way. I mean, the escalator, like the very beginning. I mean, what biggest hits? Like my personal favorite Trump moment is really just a tweet, and we referenced it with Cohen. It's the Trump Tower taco bowls. Oh, do you remember the I forget where he was, but it's him and like some Middle Eastern leaders and Melania, and there's the globe/orb.
The orb, yeah.
And they all just they put their hands on it, and he's looking real like I don't even know how I would describe his facial expression.
Who could forget the
Proud.
orb? Who could forget the orb? Imagine for 1 second if like Hillary Clinton had her picture where she had her hands on an orb, a glowing orb symbolizing the world, with, you know, some of the richest, most powerful oil barons. Like that people would have freaked out at that point, but it was Trump, and it was like, this is just ridiculous. Like,
see, there's so many. I've never heard about this once. Trump once addressed thousands of Boy Scouts with a rambling political speech about cocktail parties and rich people having sex on boats. Do you remember this?
I remember when he spoke to the Boy Scouts of America. I do remember that because he just used the entire speech to like talk about what a great president he was and how everybody else was bad.
Quote, "You remember that incredible night with the maps," Trump said, noting that the maps were, quote, "so red it was unbelievable, and the pundits who had expected a Clinton victory didn't know what to say." This is at the 2017 Boy Scout Jamboree in West Virginia. As, quote, "As the Scout law says, a Scout is trustworthy, loyal. We could use some more loyalty, I will tell you that." Yeah, he just goes on this this rambling speech.
So to go along with the discussion of like, did he ever want to be president? I don't think that he thought that he would win on election night. I think he was shocked.
Well, he had gone on a 3-month escapade declaring that like the results were going to be fraudulent, and then he wins.
I think everybody around him was shocked. Like, now what?
That's what's so funny about this whole thing, especially about the whole January 6th shit and the re-election. Is like, he gave you the blueprint what he was gonna do before he even did it. I don't know how many times. Like, and what I think was the scarier part, and I think is what history will remember him before, is like the way in which you can convince people in the face of just no evidence it's alarming. It's alarming how many people believe that shit still to this day to be true, that it was rigged. But like, he's just so, he has a way of convincing people, and I don't understand it.
Oh, I have one of my favorite moments. The Clemson National Championship dinner. That was McDonald's and Wendy's and all that. I mean, that's peak Donald. And he has the picture posing in front of all the burgers. That's just classic Don.
I would have really enjoyed that meal as a 20-year-old.
I guess when you go to the White House, you do want like a nice dinner and shit. But like, I'm sure there were guys who were like, this rocks.
Also, well, I think you could get most of that food as a student, right?
They probably eat that shit every day.
What would you have wanted if the now? You'll have to suspend disbelief here for a second, but if the Tennessee Volunteers had won the national championship when you played there, Arian, what would you have wanted as your White House meal?
So it's like I always tell people, like when I was on my visit, like we had dinner. I forget the restaurant. Maybe I don't remember what it was, but like we had like steak and like lobster, stuff like that. And I had never had lobster before, and so I was like, oh, this is fancy and this is amazing. Like I loved it. So like and that was before NIL and stuff, and we was broke. So I would have loved to have like a fancy meal, good shit, mashed potatoes, shit like that you don't really get on a day-to-day basis because you eat a lot of junk food and whatever's in the cafeteria. So I would have loved to have that shit.
What about you, Big T?
I would have appreciated the absurdity of going to the White House meeting Donald Trump and there being McDonald's there.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, yeah, you want a nice dinner when you go to the White House, but like that's so funny that I would have appreciated it. That's just me, though.
It objectively ridiculous when you compare it to like the traditions of the White House.
Yeah.
Have you ever been? Has anybody here ever been to the White House?
No.
I mean, I've been like to the outside of it, but not on the inside.
Yeah, I've never been inside.
I think
Never been inside it.
Don't you have to like? I mean, it's damn near impossible to do a tour now, right? You have to have like letters from members of Congress and shit.
I don't know what it's like now. It used to be pretty easy though. You just have to
my
sign up
mom's
like
done
way in
it.
advance.
I think now it's like you have to do all sorts of stuff.
I would like to go to the White House at some point.
I feel like you could get invited to go.
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, what are you gonna do in there?
You could interview someone.
What is it that you want to see?
I want to take a shit in the White House. Like, I'll be straight up honest with you. I would.
That's a great call.
I want to take a shit in there.
How many people can say they've done that?
Not many people. That's what I want to do. Is I would like to defecate in the White House, preferably in the same toilet as a president has used.
I feel like they've used most of them.
Yeah. What percentage? So I just off the top of my head, I would guess that there are about 20 bathrooms in the White House.
I think that's lowballing.
Oh yeah, I bet it's got to be more than that.
How many do you think, Arian?
Because are we counting the West Wing? I mean,
Probably
I bet
like-
there's.
I say 20 to
alone.
30, 20 to 30. 20
I
to
say
30.
there's 60.
132 rooms, 35 bathrooms, and 6 levels. That's just in the residence.
What?
35 bathrooms.
In the residence? Oh, I guess there's
I
like more
think
people
I'm
than
reading
just the
that
family.
correctly.
I bet. Well, FDR probably has the all-time record for different bathrooms used. Right? He was there the longest. I think he probably.
I don't think that.
You think he? Well, he probably had like one that he was more comfortably able to use.
Mm-hmm. I think someone that's known to have like had a lot of affairs.
Oh, JFK.
JFK.
Well, he wasn't there for very long, but he had bowel problems.
He had IBS.
Yeah, he had IBS, so he was probably taking a lot of shits.
And he wanted to kind of like not
He was probably sneaking around a lot.
sneak around and then like bring in Marilyn Monroe in.
Yeah, I mean JFK is a sneaky good pick on that one. Ronald Reagan,
Yeah, I was gonna say Reagan.
old guy, probably took a lot of shits too.
But old guy, does he want to walk around that much to go shit? / can he hold it that long?
Probably get away from Nancy for just a second. She's trying to blow him
I mean, I don't know.
trying to get some peace and quiet. Yeah, Ronald Reagan is probably the most likely president of all time to have received a Blumpkin in the White House.
What is a bloom?
It's getting
Oh,
head while you're
goodness.
taking a shit.
Why would you want that?
I don't know, but like,
Is that a thing that people want?
Wait, who did that?
no, I'm saying Ronald Reagan
Oh,
would be my bet
got it.
for the most likely to
Because of Nancy?
because of Nancy, and also he was probably shitting a lot.
That's a gross. I don't know.
I think Reagan probably shit in a lot of those toilets.
Are we conflating though? Like, did Nancy love to give head, or was she just really good at it?
Both, I think.
I don't know if you can have one without the other.
That's true.
I
That's
agree. I actually
That's
agree with
true.
that.
Yeah, that's true.
In order to be good at something of that magnitude, you
Practice
have to
makes
enjoy it.
perfect.
Well, I think it could go the other way. You could probably love doing it.
And
And
be really
suck
bad
at
it. Yeah.
I think both can be true, but one is more likely than the other.
Yeah.
And she was old by the time she got in the White House. Like she's
That
had
don't matter.
years and years of practice. No, but I'm just saying she's had years and years and years of practice.
Yeah, and the dentures, teeth
Ew.
pop right out.
Hey, bro, I'm telling you. Hey, man, less viscosity. It's better.
We need to post the link to this website because there's so many of these that I don't recall or maybe never heard of in the first
Send it in the
place.
group chat.
When he said a hurricane was, quote, one of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
Yep.
Yeah.
When he was in the hospital with COVID and tweeted out a picture of him like supposedly working, but he's just signing blank pieces of paper with a Sharpie.
This might be
shit,
controversial.
When he made the weather
the hurricane map.
He drew it and made it bigger. Or
Yep,
something
that's
like
on
that.
here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god.
Oh, the lawnmower kid.
Yep.
And then he actually gave him like $20 or something.
To mow the lawn? That's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, but like the kid had written him and said like, I would love to mow the White House lawn. Like I charge $20 or something. Trump actually only gave him $20.
But he paid him.
He did.
At least he paid this guy.
He did. I feel like he could have given him a hundo.
It would have been nice.
Yeah.
A little something extra. Buy something on your way home.
Hell, in Joe's economy, 100 is 20.
Yep.
The 18-footer in was it Puerto Rico with the paper towels?
Yeah. Shooting toilet paper, paper towels.
Unreal, dog.
The standpoint of water one, that was him just like explaining because everything with him has to be like the biggest or the best. And so even the disasters have to be like the all-time worst.
Windmills cause cancer?
Yeah.
Or is it noise? Is it a noise or windmills?
It's cancer and they kill birds.
That's true though.
Yeah. But if you're a bird that flies into a giant windmill, like that's Darwinism.
It's on you. It's on you.
It's a giant fucking windmill. I get scared of windmills. That's one of the things like I think I've talked about on this show before. It kind of goes along with my fear of heights. I hate looking up at giant windmills and how they're moving. They're terrifying to me.
Which is like a big fan. What?
They're massive and just like how fast these huge things are moving, it freaks me the fuck out to look at giant windmills.
Huh. I think that's an irrational fear, man.
I think it is too. But if I'm in a plane and I see a bunch of windmills, I'm cool with that. But if I'm standing next to a giant windmill, nope. I'm sweating thinking about it right now.
This was an all-timer. Do you remember person, woman, man, camera, TV?
Yep.
That was electric.
When he was recalling the results of his cognition test.
And he said they'd never seen anything like it.
Yeah. Well, so the picture of him when he's in the hospital with COVID, I think he looks better in that picture. I think he looks better than he normally does. He doesn't have the bronzer on. His hair isn't gelled up. He looks more like a human being in that picture.
And then one that a refrain I repeat often, the turn off the lights. I hate lights. You come into my apartment, there will never be a light on, ever.
You don't leave any on while you're gone?
Hell no. I mean, I don't make the kind of money you make. We can't just all be leaving lights on willy-nilly.
How much money does that really cost, though, if you leave one light
I don't
on?
turn lights on when I'm home. I don't like lights. So anytime...
It was always in the dark?
Yeah. So when I'm at somewhere that has a lot of lights on, I break into the Donald Trump turn off the lights.
You must hate it in here.
I do. Every time I get out of here, I feel like sleepy because there's so many lights.
Wait, shouldn't it be the opposite?
No, these lights like beat down on you and you feel like tired.
You're nocturnal.
I don't think so.
You're like a raccoon.
No, I love sleep.
Yeah, but you can sleep during the day.
No, I can't. I can't nap.
You just think
Ironically.
lights make you tired.
Yeah, I can all day. Lights do the opposite. Lights keep me up.
If I fall asleep,
I don't like them for that reason.
If I fall asleep for 30 minutes in the middle of the day, I feel like shit.
Well, that's true. I think waking up from a nap throws off your entire...
Yeah, I can't nap.
Throws off your body.
Weird. I feel opposite. I think when I fall asleep and wake up, I feel well rested. I feel rejuvenated.
I feel.
I think y'all are sleeping wrong. Maybe your diet is shit or something. Because
I mean, probably
naps are supposed to regenerate.
No, like I feel great when I wake up in the morning, but I can't sleep in the middle of the day.
That's interesting. Man.
I have a really bad habit of falling asleep with the lights on and in my like full daytime clothes, and then I'll like wake up at 4 a.m. and not know where I am. I do it like 3 times a week.
Like on your couch?
Nope, in my bed.
So you go to sleep at a normal time.
Nope. I basically run it until it's empty, and then I just like pass out on my bed. Like I'm just too lazy to like put pajamas on and turn off the lights. So I'll just be scrolling on TikTok or something at like 11:30, and then I'll wake up at like 4 a.m. Same TikTok still going, and I'm lights on, in my jeans, shoes sometimes on still.
So every morning you wake up at 4, turn off the lights, then you go to bed for real?
No, sometimes I just let it go. I just leave it on.
Yeah, you gotta start taking your shoes off.
Well, most of the time the shoes are off because I'm in my room, and now I live here and it's gross to have my shoes on in the house. But yeah, no, I'll just fall asleep on top of the covers, sometimes on top of my pile of laundry I don't want to fold.
A lot of people say that you should have a routine that gets you ready for bed.
Right, which is what I'm trying to implement, because it's getting to a point where it's like I have to be an adult and go to bed at night.
I think parents say that. When I'm thinking some people say, I think most parents.
It's your mom.
Yeah, your mom tells you like, okay, brush your teeth, wash your face,
put on your pajamas,
lights out,
read a book.
Yeah.
Nope. I literally run it until I physically cannot get up.
But you're still scrolling TikTok.
Yeah, but then I'll just doze off to the TikTok.
That's actually demonstrable.
It's awful.
Blue light actually tricks your brain into thinking that it should be up, and so it actually keeps people up.
Oh, Arian, it's an awful habit I have. I'm not saying I'm enjoying it.
No, I mean I do it too. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and
there's science behind it.
And then I wake up half the time at like 8 a.m. and I'm like, oh shit, I'm running late. Or I wake up at like 3 a.m. and then just decide to keep going with my night in the clothes with the lights on.
Why don't they make a phone that doesn't have blue light? Like a different type of light.
I don't know enough about that.
Technology doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, I feel like that's you saying like, why don't they make cigarettes that don't have like bad things in them?
Yeah. Speaking of cigarettes, R.I.P. Juul.
Well, no, it's back.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, the federal court blocked the ruling.
Okay.
Something blocked the ruling.
Wait, did Joe Biden step in?
I don't think Joe Biden stepped in, but I think some court blocked the ruling.
That'd be very funny if Joe became like the crusader for Juul.
Some congressman came in ripping a menthol pack and was like,
Joe's like, listen here, Jack. Bring back the mango pods.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. He reeks of mint Juul pod. Oh my God, Joe Biden should start juuling.
Oh, that'd be sick, yeah.
I like that.
Already drooling. He just needs to go.
You see his Secret Service agent fell off the bike in front of him, and Biden was behind him and announced to all the press, like, that's not me. I'm still riding.
Wait, they put him on another bike?
Yeah, he got back on the bike.
You're kidding.
No, that's how you get over it, man. Same thing.
Was this the same time? Like after he fell off, he immediately got back on and kept riding, or this was like
this is a new time. This is recently.
They let him get on another bike.
He's still biking.
That's outrageous.
Yeah, they're trying to kill him.
Biking.
They're trying to kill him. The Secret Service.
That might be a reasonable explanation.
The Secret Service is actively trying to kill Joe Biden by making sure that he exercises.
You put that guy on a bike, you are assuming a lot of risk.
You are. Like, how old is he?
79, I believe.
Yeah, 79.
Oh, I thought he's not 80. I thought he was in his
80s. 79. He will be 80 on November 20th.
Yeah, probably.
Man, get this man out of here, bro.
Probably shouldn't be biking. He's got that life energy in him. He can only expend so much. We'll get into that with Michael Cohen in a little bit. Anything else we want to talk about with Trump? I mean, we talk about Trump a lot on this show, because like he's always front and center in the news. He's on his new Truth platform where he's retruthing and truthing stuff, and just unfettered access. It's almost too much truth at this point.
That's what people said about the Trump White House often.
Yep.
Too much truth.
Too much truth. One of my favorite.
Nobody said that.
One of my favorite Trump moments was when he divested himself of all of his business dealings, because when you become president, you're not allowed to own any sort of business that might benefit from your job running the country. And so he had to sign all these papers, divesting himself and putting everything into a blind trust. And so he had a big press conference with stacks of hundreds of papers, and he wanted to show everybody what he just got done signing. He's like, I just got done signing all these papers. look at these. This is me signing all my businesses over into a blind trust. And then reporters went up to the table after the press conference, started looking at the papers, and they were just blank sheets of paper. But he's a showman. That's what he likes to do.
Yeah, it's one way to. He's a liar, pathological too. Like he'll lie about shit you don't even need to lie about, like crowd sizes. Like who gives a shit? But like it's all part of the brand, baby.
When he was growing up, I thought this was interesting. I've read a couple books that he wrote himself. One of them was there was a part where he talks about Madonna and how he wouldn't sleep with Madonna because she was too ugly, even though she wanted to sleep with him. I think Jose Canseco actually made that same claim in his book too. So she was getting turned down left and right.
That's tough.
I guess that is tough. But so I've read some of his books, and he talks about growing up how there was always a winner in his house. So if the kids were playing games, if they were just like around the house, if they were playing with blocks, his dad would announce one person as being the winner of the game.
I like that. That's a good way to run things.
And so he would always compete against his siblings, and he used that same parenting on his own children growing up. He's like, one person has to be the champion of it. You don't think, Big T, that like there's like art is good for the sake of art?
What do you mean?
Like if you're just like your kids are painting something.
I think it's good to teach your children that there are winners and losers in the world, and that once you go out into the real world, you need to be a winner.
Okay. Now, what's the best way of doing that?
I don't know. I'm not a parent, but instilling in them early that people win things and people lose things, I think is good.
There's a lot of gray area too, though.
You want you and everybody get a trophy guy?
No, I mean, I'm not an everybody gets a trophy guy, which, by the way, that's total bullshit because it was our parents that gave us participation trophies.
I'm not saying...
Now they're mad at us for having the participation trophies.
I'm just asking if you're... sometimes it's good for things just to exist for the sake of existing.
I definitely think sometimes it's very good for things to exist just for the sake of existing. For example...
I would argue the majority of time, that should be the case.
Like, I love the Jersey Shore. Okay? I have a great time down there. I love the ocean. I also like the Shenandoah River. I think they're both great bodies of water with wonderful recreational activities.
Surely you see how that's different than people.
Okay. I don't have children, so maybe Arian can weigh in on this. But if you have one child that is like painting something, another child that's painting the same thing, and one is like aesthetically more pleasing than the other, maybe because of their development stage, maybe because of what their inclinations are. I don't know if you necessarily have to be like, hey, your painting wins, your painting loses.
I don't think you have to do that either. So maybe if he meant literally everything, that's overboard. But I don't think it's bad to, like, if your kids go out and play basketball, like, okay, we're going to keep score and like somebody's going to win. But like if your kids just happen to be painting and you stumble upon them painting, no, I don't think you have to say like, oh, yours is way better, yours sucks. But like I do think it's not necessarily a bad thing to have your children engage in competition.
The irony of this though is that so Trump grew up in a household that did prioritize like winning. Everybody, like every activity had a winner and a loser. He has won at a lot of stuff in his life, but he's like maybe the worst loser of all time. So he did not learn how to lose in that environment.
I didn't say learn how to lose. I think some of the most competitive people ever are bad losers.
Isn't that important though? Like when you're keeping score, if you're doing that with your kids, which I agree should be done. I think that like, there's a lot of life that is tied into winning and losing at things. So if your kids are playing sports, you have a winner and a loser, that's great. I don't see a problem with that. But also part of the reason for teaching them about winning is to teach them about losing and about, hey, in life, you're going to lose sometimes. Here's how to handle.
That's probably important.
Here's how to, but it doesn't seem like that message really sunk in with him that much.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
He did become president.
No, I'm saying like, say what you want about the guy, but he has accomplished a lot in his life. He's very strategic, and he's not like the most classically intelligent person, obviously, but he does have emotional intelligence, and he knows how to treat people around him in order to get what he wants. He's one of the greatest of all time at manipulating people and using them for his own gain.
He's just such an enigmatic person because he's objectively won a shit ton. He was very rich to whatever extent you believe he was. He became president. He was, this TV real estate magnate mogul. But at the same time, like, a ton of people hate him, despise him.
Mm-hmm.
He also lost the presidency the second time, but like it's a weird dichotomy.
Do you think Donald?
Well, yeah, I think that's the thing though. Is like when you look at what it means to win, right? Especially in this kind of like economic system we have, they teach you young that there are winners and losers, and you should be a winner, right? When in actuality, the best way to say is like, you should try to maximize like goodness in everything that you do, because if not, you'll have an extreme winner, quote unquote, like Donald Trump, who has taken many L's but has convinced people that he hasn't, right? But also stepped on a lot of people along the way. Like we talked with Michael Cohen, how there's lawsuit after lawsuit and the admission of scamming smaller businesses and slapping people with what they call slap lawsuits, which we didn't really get into, but that's just like the more money you have, the more you can like bully a smaller business because they can't compete with you. You could just file, and they can't compete monetarily, and you end up losing that lawsuit. So it's like, yeah, you won, but at what cost? You know what I mean? And that's all. Most of us who are not pro-capitalism, that's our gripe with it. Is at the end of the day, you can win all day, and that's amazing, but at what cost? Because there's losers, and those losers have families they have to feed, and like all of that shit. So. Like that's the biggest gripe I have with the shit, and that's why I try to teach my kids. Yeah, you can win, but be a good human being, dog. Like, be chill.
He also doesn't necessarily treat his supporters that well. So he has like an open disdain for them. Like he likes the fact that they love him, but so you can just look and see what's been going on the last like year and a half. He started that. The fundraising after he lost the election, being like, hey, this is the Trump Defense Fund. We're going to defend the election results. Donate here. And he's raised millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars for the election defense fund from his supporters directly, like via direct action on the email list, things like that. And there's no fund that's ever been created. Like the fund literally does not exist. And so he's just taking money from them for him to do whatever he wants with, just off the backs of people that believe the stuff that he's saying and like truly deeply care about his cause and think that everything that he's doing is great for the country. He's even treating those people like shit and like taking money off them. And you could say he's winning at that. Like he's fundraising off a thing that does. Ain't
that what I'm saying? Ain't that what Michael Cohen that was part of one of the charges that stuck was campaign taking campaign money and paying people off.
Yeah. I honestly feel bad for the people that are contributing money to it because they think that they're trying to save democracy. A lot of them I think are doing it for what they believe to be the right reasons, and they don't know that he's not doing anything about it, that the fund doesn't exist. That's pretty fucked up to me. Like I actually say good for those people. The people that are giving him money, I don't really fault them at all because in their heads they are trying to defend democracy. They're doing like a noble thing. But he's just... You
don't fault them a little bit?
I mean...
Also, if...
I think if you truly... They're about it. I think that if you truly believe everything that he's said about that election, then yes, you should be storming the Capitol.
It's like what
you
we
should
said about
be giving
the
them money.
Pizzagate thing.
Yeah.
Like if you actually believe there were kids being raped in that pizza shop and you don't go in there with a gun, you're kind of a bitch.
Yeah. I agree. You are. And like the people that storm the Capitol, listen, at least they are standing up for what they think is like a direct injustice that's being committed against American democracy. I'm not saying anything about, whether or not what they're doing is based in fact or their fears are based in fact, but they've been told like, hey, our country's being taken away. At least people that are donating money and getting arrested for like trying to zip tie Nancy Pelosi or whatever, at least they're following through with what their beliefs are, as opposed to like a lot of people that are like, yeah, he's bullshitting us again, but I still like the guy, So I feel bad for the people that have been taken advantage of, especially the last year and a half, into donating a lot of their money that they might not have to give away.
$250 million in donations from its supporters. It said would go to an election defense fund to pay for legal fees to overturn the 2020 election results.
$250 million.
It's a shit ton of money.
That's crazy that he's raised that much money off it. So, Arian, you don't feel a little bit bad for those people?
No. Because if I'm giving it's like I don't feel bad for people who get taken by charlatans at church or none of that shit. Because if I'm gonna give my money, I'm doing my due diligence, right? I was taught to critically think. And so if I'm giving my money to this cause, I'm gonna make sure it's a worthy cause. I'm gonna make sure I know where my money's going, right? It's on you. It is on you. Does he like outsource any kind of fact checking or anything like no. So yeah, he plays a part in it, but I think it's just one of those things where you are falling victim to your freedom that you have on the internet, and it's on you. You need to find a way to check yourself and make sure that you're not just falling victim to the propaganda that you agree with. And if that's what you want to do, then go ahead and do it and fund this crook, because that's what you're going to continue to do.
I agree with Arian 100%. I'm actually very curious. Have either of y'all ever donated to a political candidate?
No.
I don't. I might have given like $20 to Obama in 2007 or 2008, whenever that was.
Because I
might have. Like, I'm not sure.
I'd never donate to a political candidate ever, really, for like any reason, particularly one that's like, hey, we lost, but like we think we're going to be able to overturn it.
Yeah, I don't
think
I don't see myself ever doing that.
Is weird, unless you're like really rich and you can like actually have influence, which you can debate whether that like should be able to happen or not. But if you're just like a Joe Schmo and you're sending like $500, like that's crazy.
I think I was like 23 years old, and I saw like an Obama speech and I was like inspired. I was like, here's my $20, sir.
Did you get like a sticker or something?
I don't know what I got. I certainly didn't get $20 worth of return off it. But yeah, I was just like caught up in a moment of patriotism. I was like, the USA is back. Can't wait. He's going to fix everything that's wrong with my problems. So yeah, it's weird to give money to a politician. And
I think in general, it's a good notion and shit, but I think the reason why I have never is because, one, I don't think that there's like legislatively that there has ever been a politician that had my best interest. And so I just don't, you're just going to take my money and do what you continue to do. And two, I think that there are lobbyists that are in their pockets way deeper than I can give you. So what's the point?
Yeah, like the small donations, that's not going to buy you any sort of influence whatsoever.
No. So I'll vote, right? I used to not, I was one of those like voting doesn't count, but I'll vote. I'll vote in local elections. I'll vote in general election. But yeah, you ain't getting no my money, dog.
There was a really interesting article that came out over the weekend about this town in New Hampshire and how it got taken over by like people moved from out of state because it was seen as like a haven for libertarians. And they were trying to make a brand new, like they were trying to make their libertarian utopia where there was like as little government interference as possible. There were also people that lived in that town. I think that there were maybe, I don't know, a couple thousand. It was a pretty small town, but enough people moved in and they started to enact this agenda that involved like completely defunding the schools and almost like entirely defunding the schools. And it left every parent with thousands of dollars in bills that they had to pay out of their own pockets because like there was this one person, it was like a husband and wife that decided to control the budget. And then after they passed this law, the town looked at themselves and they were like, well, this is kind of on us for not being politically active and for not paying attention to what's going on and just kind of being apathetic. And then they started to become more civically engaged and go to the town meetings. They eventually got that turned around because everyone in the town was like, what the fuck is this? Like now we have to pay whatever it was, $4,000 a year just to have our kids go to public school. And it was a lesson for them to be like, hey, well, if you're in a democracy, you do have to pay attention to what's going on, even though paying attention and caring is sometimes very uncool. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's important.
Which is why I think, to Big T's point, it may have been a political strategy to let them overturn Roe v. Wade because they were down in all the polls. I'm talking about. Remember we were talking about like predictions in the upcoming election. I was like, Democrats about to get washed. The new polling says that they're up, and so it may have been a strategy. But it's like that's another thing why I don't ever give money to politicians because they do this for this reason, right? They either are passive or aggressive, not to help people, but strategically to stay in office. And so I think it was very advantageous for Democrats to be passive about this.
Did y'all hear about the guy who was running for president in 2020 who said he was going to dissolve the federal government on his first day and then resign? Do you remember this guy?
No, who's that?
His name was...
I know Tiger King had probably the best political... I was saying the Tiger King had one of the best political ads of all time, dog. He's out broke. I don't know shit. Is it some bitch named, I forget her name, wants to kill me? That's one of the funniest things of all time, dog. Oh my God.
My proposal is the localization of government. He said dissolving it through a bankruptcy process and a peaceful order that would leave us with 50 independent states and, of course, up to 562 sovereign native nations. I'm guessing that's counties, but there's way more counties than that. I don't know.
How can you use the bankruptcy court to dissolve an entire country? I don't feel like bankruptcy court has jurisdiction over the United States government.
Yeah, but basically he was gonna just get rid of the federal government.
How many votes did he get?
It's a good question. Let's find out.
All libertarians. It sounds like some libertarian shit.
Yeah, he was a libertarian.
Yep. They don't think things through much.
Adam Kokesh.
Like, it definitely sounds cool for somebody to say that, but then what would the actual ramifications of that be on day-to-day life?
And then you have 330 million Americans like still have to settle things outside of the federal government, the federal government.
Next thing you know, Canada invades Minnesota, and then Minnesota has to fight Canada on their own?
Yeah.
They don't get the support of the army?
What army?
I'm not able to find how many votes he got. I don't even know if he ended up being on the ballot in most states.
My guess is probably not, like an actively hostile person to the office they're running for. Probably pretty difficult to get that person
But
certified.
I do remember him running and getting, his 15 minutes of we're going to dissolve the federal government.
What about the rent is too damn high guy?
I know that quote. I don't know what that's from.
He ran for office in New York many, many times, and his party, I think, was called The Rent is Too Damn High. And he would always wear, he might have been like former military, but he wore these leather gloves on stage for every debate. And he was just talking about how the rent is too damn high.
Okay, I have seen this guy.
The guy's right.
Bro, look at this shit, bro.
The purpose of this video today is to let you know who I am. First thing is, I am not cutting my hair. I'm not changing the way I dress. I refuse to wear a suit. I am gay. I've had 2 boyfriends most of my life. I currently got legally married, thank God. I've had some kinky sex. I have tried drugs through the younger years of my life. I'm broke as shit. I have a judgment against me from some bitch down there in Florida. I built one of the biggest facilities and the nicest facilities for exotic animals in this country as far as a private individual goes. And don't forget, I am now stepping my foot in the ring to run for president.
Bro, it's so funny.
The fact that he ends it with president is just incredible. Like, I thought he was going to
shit.
I thought he was going to say like county commissioner.
Nah, he running for the big office, dog. That shit was hilarious.
I guess aim high.
Yeah, man.
He's still in jail, right?
Yeah.
Man, Tiger King. That was quite a moment we had. Anything else you want to get into before Michael Cohen, Trump's former attorney?
No, I'm covered.
Michael Cohen is
Trump.
brought to you by our great friends over at Concrete. Here's a myth. Creatine is a type of steroid. That's a myth. The fact is creatine is a natural molecule that your body produces, and it's present in various foods because your body needs more than it makes. Here's a myth. Creatine is used to bulk up. Here's a fact. Creatine helps with lean muscle gains, increased strength, endurance, and fitness. Concrete is the number one bioavailable creatine with 70% greater plasma uptake than standard creatine monohydrate. Concrete is the only microdosing creatine. One small scoop per 100 pounds of body weight. Creatine is absolutely required for functional energy in every cell of your body. Your muscles need creatine to perform optimally and grow stronger. I started using Concrete creatine. Guess what? That bench press, now I bench more than Billy. It's all thanks to Concrete. Your brain, I do, Arian. Your brain uses about 20% of the creatine in your body just to think. Concrete fuels your body and your mind. Take control of your health, both your body and your mind. Build a better you with Concrete. Register now at concrete.com/podcast. That's CON-CRET.com/podcast to receive free membership to Planet Fitness for an entire year, plus a $500 Walmart Visa gift card. Available online now and in-store at Walmart. CON-CRET.com/podcast. Now here's Michael Cohen. All right, we now welcome on a special guest. His name is Michael Cohen. He is a former attorney. He worked for President Trump. You've seen him testifying before Congress. He had to spend time behind bars for some of the activities that he committed while serving as President Trump's attorney. He now has a podcast called Mea Culpa, and he has a book coming out at the end of August, beginning of September. It's called The Department of Injustice. Thank you for joining us, first of all.
It's good to be here, PFT. We got Big T in the house. Who do you say? Arian Foster as well, somewhere hiding in the back. Just as a little bit of a clarification, it's actually going to be now my second book. My first book, which I wrote while I was in Otisville, turned out to be a #1 New York Times bestseller. And I expect this one to be exactly the same, called The Department of Injustice. And it goes into a lot of the things that you and I are going to spend the next, 45 minutes or so speaking about, because the story you think you know about me, the story that was promoted about me by media, by Donald, by all of his acolytes, it's not accurate.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure that it will be a bestseller. There's a big appetite out there in the public, as you will know. So the way that you happen to find yourself on this podcast today, last weekend I tweeted out a video of you when you were giving testimony. How many times? What was the question that you were asked? How many times were you asked to threaten somebody on behalf of the president?
Yes, that's exactly the question.
And it was 200.
And so my response was, I don't know. So of course the member of Congress said, well, 50, more, 100. And we're talking about over the decade that I had worked for him. I said, more. I said, over 200. I said, that's probably right.
That sounds about right.
And so sounds about right. And that then of course became, another massive meme, and it's another thing on like the TikTok and so on. I'm on TikTok myself. And the funniest is when all of a sudden I'll start to hear my own voice onto it, including from people who are friends of mine that allege they didn't even know that was my voice. I'm like, oh, come on, serious? Just keep spreading the stupidity, my friends.
So we were using the meme in the context of how many clients do you plan on entertaining tonight, as an homage to a person who also works on this podcast. And then you reached out, or you retweeted, quote tweeted it, whatever, and then DM'd you and asked you to come on. So that's how we find ourselves here in this position right now.
I just wanted to know if all these people are going to be, showing up to your party. I think my response was, well, what about me? Right. Yeah. I mean, you're using my voice on that. Now, I don't even get an invite. I'm not sure I can make it. Not that I even received the invite, but, nevertheless, it would have been nice to have been invited.
We can have some beers sometime. We should do a live show with Michael Cohen. I think that'd be an interesting one to get into. So I want to start just in general talking about how you found yourself working alongside Donald Trump, how you got into the orbit of the Trump organization, because I think that's like a little bit murky, at least for me it is. I haven't done probably as much reading as some people out there have. But how do you find yourself working with a man like that? And what was the first experience that you had face to face with him?
So I talk about it in the book, Disloyal. It's actually the start of it, whereby I stated I was actually brought into the Trump orbit by Don Jr. And what happened is Donald was having some serious issues with the board over at one of his buildings. I, by coincidence, happened to have owned an apartment in that building, as did my parents, my in-laws, a whole bunch of friends. Years earlier, we had purchased as a block about a dozen apartments in that building. We just thought it would be a good investment. It turned out to have been a good investment. I then was contacted by Don Jr., who by coincidence was building my apartment in a different Trump property that I bought. And this is, again, this is about 2+ years before I even started to work for Donald. The one that he was having the issue with the building, that was about 8 years before I started working for Donald. And I was asked to come in and help. They were alleging that he had improperly taken money from the coffers of the board, which ultimately turned out not to be true. There was a pretty rogue board. I then put together a plan, overthrew the board, reinstated a completely different board that by coincidence happened to have included Kellyanne Conway, which is how, of course, I got to know her and brought her into the Trump orbit. Suffice it to say, Donald truly enjoyed the tactics that we used in order to take over the board. And that then had me front and center of his mind for other issues that had come up. Now, at the time, I was a partner in a white shoe firm here in New York City. And what ultimately brought me into his orbit was he had a massive problem with Trump Entertainment Resorts. That was the third Chapter 11 reorganization issue with his casinos, where he asked me to read the documents and come up with a strategy that would benefit him, which I ultimately did. Now, he had racked up with me about $100,000 worth of legal bills. He didn't want to pay the 100, and instead, while we're sitting and having a conversation in his office, he just blurts out, "Why don't you leave that sleepy firm that you're with and come join me here?" And he goes, "You'll be my personal attorney. You'll be, special counsel just to me. You don't answer to anybody other than me." And made me the executive vice president of the Trump Organization, as well as special counsel. I said to him, "Okay, but what about my legal fee?" So he goes, "What, you want to get fired on your first day? Just forget that. That money, most of it would end up going to the law firm anyway. And why would you want to do that?"
Okay.
That's my first experience.
Okay. So it sounds like, when you alluded to the fact that he was a fan of your tactics and your strategy when helping him deal with the issue with the board, you're a guy that plays dirty, and he liked that about you, right?
I don't know if I would say in this case it was playing dirty. They had made statements about him that were inaccurate. I happen to have been an owner, as many of my friends and family members were also owners there, and the actions that the board were taking were detrimental to the building. What we ended up doing is, because we had access to all of the owners, we put together the list and we reached out to them quietly for them to vote for a new board to come in. Is that dirty? I don't really think so. But it was a strategy that worked, and it was a strategy that he was happy to benefit from.
You play hardball. Like he respected you because you didn't back down. You were in a position where you could have been the ones being attacked, and you pivoted to being the attackers. That's
correct.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. So you start working for him as the executive vice president. You're his right-hand man. So you find yourself to be, I guess, as close with him as anybody else in his career, or probably his personal life too. What was that like? Before politics was involved, before, he would allude to maybe running for president one day, but it wasn't something that was part of his day to day. What was it like just working for him? What was the position you found yourself in? Was it a stressful job that you had, or just walk us through kind of what that felt like?
Well, as I also wrote into the book, I was the first call that he made every morning, which was about 4:45 a.m. And I was about the last call that he would make, which was about 11:30, 11:45 p.m. During the day. While I was there at the Trump org, my office was about 30 feet from his office. And I would be summoned into his office, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 times a day, depending upon how long he stayed in the office. I was basically involved in virtually every aspect of the business as well as his personal life. And so was it stressful? Absolutely. There was always something wacky and ridiculous going on, much of which he created the issues. And my job, of course, would be to fix it. In essence, crisis management. And one of the reasons why I guess I was successful in being able to stay there as long as I was is because my ability to deal with crisis and to figure out a solution is probably better than most. I started this company where I'm a principal called Crisis X, which does exactly this, but it's not small crisis. I'm not talking about the kid who's driving 30 miles an hour over the speed limit, gets a ticket, no interest. I'm talking about very significant cases with very significant people that requires more than just the average bullshit where the lawyer tells you do X, Y, and Z, or, a PR firm tells you so. This is a comprehensive strategy that includes all modalities. And that way, we effectuate the ultimate result, which is anything that benefits the individual.
Mm-hmm. And part of that was the Stormy Daniels case, which I'm sure everybody's familiar with, that you were involved in the negotiation behind the scenes. How much money would it take to buy the silence, essentially? So I think the number that you settled on was $130,000 for Stormy
That's
Daniels.
Right.
That's right. How did that negotiation go? Did you I know from what I've read about Donald Trump, he likes round numbers in general. So what did you start at?
Yeah, so it's not the way that you think. Keith Davidson, who was the attorney for Stormy Daniels at the time, contacted me originally, and it was because there was an article, I think it was in the dirty.com, and Stormy was very upset about it. She wanted it down. And it alleged this affair that took place. And she didn't want that story in the paper. And so in order, of course, to have it taken down, we all acknowledged and agreed that the affair did not happen, at which point it was able to come down. Years later, when Trump became the Republican nominee, is when the story then resurfaced. Now, I'd like to be able to take credit for the $130,000 number because based upon the legitimacy of the claim, it's probably worth more than that. It was really Keith Davidson who turned around and started at a number of, it was like either 250 or 200,000, to which I immediately responded as a former negligence attorney and litigator in malpractice cases. You never accept the first offer. And so I reduced it. And I said, Trump will never pay that. And so I had offered $100,000 simply because Trump did not want this information to get out. And at $100,000, that's, in my estimation, a pretty good resolution. Keith Davidson's response to me was, well, I have a 30% take on this. And so Stormy wants to net 100, which brought the number up to 130. So I'd like to say that it started at $1 million and we brought it down to 130. That's not how the scenario happened. It's exactly as I just described.
That seems like a pretty low number for such a
I thought so too.
Claim, especially how much airtime that claim got, right? It was national, international news. So 130,000 seems like a low number. Is that something you had a lot of practice with? How many of those negotiations did you have to get into on behalf of Trump?
Yeah, as it related to these affairs and so on, this is the one and only. That's another misconception that the media, mostly because of the scumbag Michael Avenatti, would go on TV and talk about how this was, a regular occurrence, that I was paying people silence on a regular basis at the Trump organization or for Donald. It's just not true.
Interesting. Big T, you got anything?
Yeah, I've got some questions, and then I also have some questions from our friend Billy, who gave us a long list. He's usually on the podcast. He's not with us right now.
Hold on one second. I wanna ask a question specifically to that before we pivot from the Stormy Daniels thing. So to your knowledge, because Trump still denies any wrongdoing from that. I guess it's just like a lot of his payments and a lot of his settlements, he just kind of wards off to that's just part of doing business. To your knowledge, is there any truth to the claims of Stormy Daniels?
Well, that happened. That affair happened years before I was even working for Donald. And, as I even stated to members of Congress, I wasn't in the room watching, nor was I there at the time. So I have no firsthand knowledge of what transpired in that room. What I can say is I truly believe Stormy Daniels' account of it, to the same extent that I also acknowledge Trump had another relationship with Karen McDougal, who was a Playboy playmate, that he doesn't seem to deny either. And they're both very similar.
Gotcha.
Ended around the same time.
All right. Go ahead, Big T, my bad.
So I guess what I would ask is, what would you say to someone who, you've called Trump every name in the book, and you would know, you worked very closely with him, but what would you say to someone who said, well, you were helping a lot of this go on, and now you've flipped and are on the other side? What would you just say to dispel that, or like, why should someone believe you now as opposed to when you were working for Trump?
Okay, so let me start with the latter part of that, which is the usage of the word flip. I did not flip. All right, that's a Donald Trump word that he used on his social media platform that really caused me a tremendous amount of consternation. I cooperated with the government, which is my responsibility. It's the responsibility of all Americans to cooperate when you receive a request or a subpoena, as I did originally, from Congress. And I cooperated. I provided truthful, accurate, and relevant information. That's what I did. And to those people that say, well, you worked for Donald Trump for over a decade, and so you got what you deserve. I make this statement in my upcoming book, which is, how many people listening to this program worked for a boss who's a scumbag? And if every person that worked for a boss who's a scumbag quit, I think we'd have a lot more unemployment in this country. Now, Donald was always Donald, all right? There's no other way to describe it. He was always a scumbag. But what did we do? It's a small, privately held real estate development company. Yeah, did we take advantage of a paint company, as I talk about in my book? Sure. Were there bills that were supposed to be paid 100% that were not, that were paid fractions of what they were owed? Absolutely. Did I sue people on Donald Trump's behalf or participate in the in suit of a lawsuit in order to prevent things from coming out against him? Absolutely. But what effect did that have on anybody? What effect did it have on any of you there in the studio or anybody that you know? It did not, unless you were one of the people that got screwed over by him, whether it was on behalf of the Trump Entertainment Resorts, the casinos, or any of the other multitude of garbage that he would peddle on a regular basis. The answer is it has no effect upon you. So to hold me responsible for Donald Trump as president of the United States, that's an unfair thing to do. When I started the campaign in 2015, and that was as a result of 2011, when he elected not to run because it was so lucrative to continue going with The Apprentice. And I was at the time co-president of Trump Productions as well. There was a lot going on. He had just picked up the Doral. He just picked up the golf course in Scotland and Ireland. And there was a lot, and he did not feel that the kids would be able to handle it And so he decided 2011 that he was not going to continue for the 2012 election. However, one thing he said to me is, I want to do this in 2016. And so, yes, I continue to promote the idea of him running for the presidency. One of the things that I never expected, along with so many other people who truly believed that Donald could be a great president, was that he would ultimately become the best version of himself, not like the way we would run the Trump organization, which was just down and right, dirty New York real estate, that he would rise and elevate himself to the office of the presidency. But he didn't do that. He actually brought the office into like the dumpster fire of garbage and basically decided that he was going to use the position as president to benefit himself, his family, his business, and his, close billionaire friends. That's my answer to them. I cannot be held responsible for more than what I actually did.
Well, I got a question about that, man, because I think what you're saying on its face is true, right? And it's a lot of what Trump does. Like he'll sprinkle in bits of truth with a false narrative. And so what you say is like, what did this do to affect me or anybody in the studio or every everyday working Americans? And I would argue like a lot. Like, so those slap lawsuits that y'all used to give on people, like that perpetuates like this notion in America that like money can hide everything and it's squashing the little man. That's like exactly what we fight against and why politicians run on protecting the little man, protecting small businesses. What y'all did was take advantage of small businesses, right? Which runs in opposition of what he ran on and runs in the opposition of what we all claim to care about politically. And so what I'm hearing from you, and I don't mean no disrespect, my brother, I don't know you on a personal level.
Listen, I have no disrespect taken, regardless of what's going to come out of your mouth.
Perfect. But it sounds like you're trying to absolve yourself from the actions that. If that's not the case, then why not just say, yeah, we did some dirty business, and I'm trying to do my best now to move forward from that, rather than saying you can't hold me responsible for all the shit that we did, because Donald that did it as well.
If you listen to the way the question was phrased, it deals more with Donald as president than at the time that I was there at the Trump organization. Now, yes, as I've taken responsibility for the things that I have done. I talk about it, I've written about it, and I don't try to absolve myself. What I am trying to do is to make amends not only to the country, but to my wife, my daughter, my son, and to my family for all of the hell that I've put them through. But everybody wants to point the finger at Michael Cohen and say, you're responsible for Donald Trump becoming president. And I constantly get that on social media where I say, yes, myself, along with the other 70 million people that believe that he was going to do the right thing for the country. We played dirty real estate. And I acknowledge that. I don't run from that. But that dirty real estate and that usage of the law, which is what I was trained, by me doing my job, I certainly should not have been I wasn't even indicted. I should not have been imprisoned for what I had done.
So what exactly were the items that you were convicted on where you had to go to prison? What was the ruling on that?
Okay, so it actually ultimately became 9 counts. The last one came after the first entire ordeal. But the first 5 were tax evasion for the years 2012, 13, 14, 15, and 16. The 6th count was misrepresentation to a bank based upon what's called a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, misrepresenting in order to get the HELOC. 7 and 8. 7 was the payment to Stormy Daniels, and 8 was a payment of $150,000 to Karen McDougal. Those were the 8. Now, if you want to sort of talk about it, it's a lot of this is now going to be covered in the second book, when the reality of what I should have only had to deal with, and that's the payment to Stormy Daniels. I never made a payment to Karen McDougal. In fact, it's even, you can all Google it yourselves, it ultimately came out, David Pecker made the payment through National Enquirer and the parent company AMI. I wasn't involved in that transaction other than to look over the document to ensure that Donald would be protected. Because at that point in time, David Pecker was being considered to be the editor-in-chief of Time Magazine or Time Inc., whatever it's actually known as. So nevertheless, I had to plead to that. The HELOC violation, that's probably the stupidest one of them all. I didn't fill out the documents. That was filled out by First Republic Bank. And I had 80% equity in my home. Plus, I had more money in that bank than the mortgage and the HELOC combined. So one thing that Judge Pauly made as a statement during my plea is that I've never in my life owed a single dollar to any person or institution, and there is no financial harm that was ever created to anyone. The first 5, which of course were the tax violations, I'm paying taxes for over 30 years. And this was all part of the Petrillo sentencing memo. It's why I call the book The Department of Injustice. It wasn't about what I really did. It was about the need for the country, the need for Donald Trump to have me held accountable for things outside of what I had done for him. And that's where the book goes into a deep dive, naming people, talking about the judge, talking about the system, talking about the prosecutors. My conviction, I want you just to think about this for a second. I learned what they were going to be charging me on 48 hours prior to the day I was required to come in and plead guilty, or they were filing an 85-page indictment that was going to include my wife. And there was no chance I was going to let this woman go through the bullshit that I was going through, the pain and the torment that it was going. There's no way in the world that I was going to allow that to happen. And so I ended up electing to accept the allocution that they prepared and to read it in court.
Have you spoken with Trump or any of his representatives speak on his behalf since your indictment?
Oh, no. I only spoke to Trump the day that I was raided, going back into 2019. After that, I had never heard from him again.
What was that conversation like when you're like, hey, just a heads up, I got some FBI windbreakers in my house?
Yeah. So the funny thing is, that's when I realized it was that conversation that he knew everything that was going on. And I say that because there's no way in the world that the FBI was going to raid the home, hotel, law office, and safety deposit box of the personal attorney to the President of the United States without the President of the United States knowing, especially not somebody like Trump, because if that happened, that individual would have been fired the very next day. And when he ultimately said something to the extent of, it's disgraceful that they just raided one of my attorneys, that's when I knew that he's going to do everything in his power to distance himself, deflect, and to put the blame on me. And at the time, I didn't have time in order to properly fight this. The whole matter started and ended in 48 hours over a weekend.
Maybe I've watched too many movies about high-powered attorneys and fixers, but it seems to me like if I were in your position, I was working for Donald Trump for a long time, and I knew all the things I had been asked to do in the past, I would have some sort of file that I would keep in like a very specific location. Like in case he turns on me, I've got all this ready to go on him. Is that something that you ever considered doing?
Well, you may recall I provided plenty of documentary evidence to Congress, specifically the one that was live, the House Oversight Committee hearing, when I presented all of his personal financial statements that we had used in order to obtain lower rates on insurance and other, and other things, like when we were looking even to purchase the Buffalo Bills. I provided that documentation. I want you just to really just understand that the Trump organization should not be compared to Murder, Inc. There was never a time that, we killed somebody, took them out to Central Park, dug a hole and dropped them in there. That never happened. Again, the Trump organization is a mom and pop real estate development company. Did we act dirty? Was I a sharp-elbowed lawyer? Did I use the legal system in order to benefit, Trump, because that's what I was directed to do? Yes. Hindsight being 2020, should I have done it? No. Did I need to do it? No. Something I also discussed, in my book, Disloyal. I didn't go to work for Trump like so many others because I had to, because I needed a paycheck and so on. I was semi-retired at 39. I had made a lot of money early on. I didn't need to work another day in my life. I did it because I thought it was going to be exciting. There was a lot of good things going on, too. There was a lot of real estate development. There was a lot of action going on. I was put on the board of the Miss Universe organization. The only three were me, Donald, and Alan Weisselberg. I was involved as co-president of Trump Productions, which dealt with everything, including The Apprentice. So there was a lot of exciting things going on. We took, let's just say, right turns that we should not have taken, and I should not have been a part of it. And I acknowledge, the mistakes that I've made over and over and over again.
Let me ask you about some of the small little details about being around Donald Trump for so long, because you knew him, again, at a level that very few others do. Does he, how often does he actually eat fast food?
Every day, just about. And when I say fast food, let me put it this way. The first time I ever had a McDonald's was on his airplane, on the 727. Personally, I prefer Burger King. I don't like fried food. But anytime that there was a trip going anywhere, it was always fast food. Even his meals, his dinners, were prepared downstairs by the Trump Grill, which is in the atrium at Trump Tower, by the chef. He ate an enormous amount of fast food. Let me put it to you that way.
In that one picture where he's saying, "I love Hispanics," and there's the taco bowl in front of him, the other part about that picture that caught my eye was the Sudafed. And everyone's always speculating, how much Sudafed does this guy take? Was that, because we know that he doesn't drink. Is Sudafed, is that his drug of choice?
Yeah, is Sudafed even the drug of choice that people take? He has issues, right? I mean, he has sinus issues, and I've seen him on a very regular basis take Sudafed. He also took Bear aspirin every day, as if that was going to help to prolong life, and keep his keep his heart going strong. But you're right, he doesn't drink. I've only seen him, sip either a champagne or a glass of wine, maybe less than a handful of times over the course of my tenure with him.
We're going to get back to Michael Cohen in a second. Before we do, I want to talk to you about Helix Sleep. Why would you buy a mattress made for someone else? With Helix, you're getting a mattress that you know will be perfect for the way that you sleep. Helix Sleep has a quiz that takes just 2 minutes to complete. It matches your body type and your sleep preference to the perfect mattress for you. They have soft, medium, and firm mattresses that are great for cooling you down if you sleep hot, mattresses that are great for spinal alignment to prevent morning aches and pains, and even a Helix Plus mattress for plus-size sleepers. I took the Helix quiz, and I was matched with the Helix Midnight Luxe mattress because I wanted something that felt medium firm. You don't always need to sleep on a soft mattress. It wasn't good for my back. Need that medium firm mattress. I wake up every day feeling spry, feeling young again. No more aches and pains. If you're looking for a mattress, you take the quiz, you order the mattress that you're matched to, and the mattress comes right to your door, shipped for free. You don't ever need to go to a mattress store again. Go to helixsleep.com/dose, take their 2-minute sleep quiz, and they'll match you to a customized mattress that will give you the best sleep of your life. Plus, Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners at helixsleep.com/dose. That's helixsleep.com/dose for up to $200 off and 2 free pillows. Now, here's more Michael Cohen. Big T.
I've got some questions from our other co-host, Billy, who's not here, but I'll just read 2 or 3 of them, and you can pick which ones you want to answer. I just want to give you an insight into the kind of mind this guy is. How was prison for you? Did you join any gangs? Is Trump an ass or a tits guy? Pretty obvious from Stormy he's a tits guy, but is he open to the caboose? Is Trump physically strong? Have you ever seen him do any weightlifting or training? How much do you think he benches or squats? And what are your thoughts on the deep state? Was your compliance due to a cabal that secretly manipulates politics and the world? You can answer any or all of those. Those are all from our friend Billy Football.
All right, so those are some of the greatest questions I've ever heard. Did I join a gang in prison? I went to FCI Otisville, what's called the satellite camp. There were approximately 120 inmates, and the average was about 2 to 3 correctional officers on site. In fact, there was no gate. If you really wanted to escape, the way you would do it is call an Uber. They'd come pick you up. Problem then is you would go to the other side of the facility. Now, I had a car that I used to drive while I was there that I would go back and forth, whether it was to the pipe shop or to the water treatment facility where I was working. I had power tools. We would play softball on Sundays. So we all had baseball bats, aluminum bats. There were no gangs. 50% of the facility were Jewish. The other 25% say Hispanic, 25 Black. Everybody got along. I mean, while I was there with the likes of Mike Sorrentino, The Situation from Jersey Shore. He was my table mate. He talks about, a caper where we tried to steal chicken out of the kitchen. First, I didn't have to steal anything. Tony Meatballs, who was a friend of mine, ran the kitchen. So he didn't have to say, I just don't eat chicken. I've never actually eaten a piece of chicken in my entire life.
That's weird.
But
like, you should go back to prison. That's pre-crime right there. Like, why have you not ever eaten chicken?
I'm chicken phobic. I had a pet chicken when I was a young boy at the age of 5, and it somehow ended up on the table. It's a long, complicated story. He was a good chicken. His name was Fred, but that's neither here nor there. We had Dean Skelos, who was a Republican here, state senator. We also had Joe Pericoco, who was Andrew Cuomo's chief of staff. We had some pretty high-profile individuals that were there. There were no gangs. There was no fear for anybody's life. I played a lot of tennis, which was great because I grew up on a tennis court. So I got my swing back. Of course, I tore my rotator cuff. But, there was a bocce court. There was basketball. We would play football. It is not what people think until they took us to the other side of the facility, behind the gates, behind the barbed wire, as a result of COVID, where they had me in solitary confinement, no movement at all, for 51 days. That was troubling. That was difficult. And conditions in the facility, especially where we were, which was Building E, the A block, was disgusting. It should have been, which it was, I believe, closed for repairs, but they felt it was proper to bring the satellite camp over there and to house us there. It was absolutely disgraceful. What was the second question again?
Real quick, what was the difference between the two buildings, and why were different inmates in different buildings? Like, was it the? Well,
it was based upon you. Yeah, it was based upon your crime. Okay. We were all non-violent white collar offenders. You don't put them in the same facility as you put, folks who have violence in their jacket. It was a satellite camp. We basically policed ourselves.
It honestly sounds.
There was no gates.
It doesn't
What's
sound
that?
like prison to me. It sounds like the
No.
first place sounds like summer camp. Like
It's
you had a car.
It is. Yeah, it is. It's basically what it is it's warehousing of human beings. I can assure you the smarter move for the bulk of the people that were there at FCI satellite camp with me would have been better served had the court determined community service. There were dozens of lawyers, accountants, doctors. I mean, the guy in the cubicle right next to me was an orthopedic surgeon. You don't think that there are places that he could have provided his skill, or accountants to try to help people that can't afford accountants, or lawyers to help them, with pro bono work and so on. That was basically what constituted it. It's a stupid system. Something I get to again in the upcoming book.
Well, I think that's the funny part is that white collar crimes are like a slap on the wrist, and like non-violent drug offenders, or even some violent drug offenders, are locked up like you were the last 51 days. And that despair, I think.
Well, they're not locked up. They're not locked up the way that we were for 51 days. There was no movement at all. There was no yard. There's no movement. Right. They put you into a room. They close the door. They open it up to feed you. They take the stuff out. Afterwards, you're not moving at all. So it's not the same. On top of that, we could sit and discuss the justice system. I'm not trying to compare white collar crime to any other crime, other than to say failure to pay tax should not mean being removed from your family, from your business, from your life. Pay the tax back and do some form of community service. I think we would all be better served. Now, there were many people that were with me that also had, that were there, non-violent drug offenses. And, that their sentences I find to be as foolish as mine, disproportionate and foolish. Basically, the United States has made incarceration into a business. And until we all stand up and start to do something positive to make a change, I never believed prior to what happened to me that incarceration was not justified to the people who were incarcerated. I knew people were incarcerated early on, and truth be told, they deserved what they got. After meeting with so many people, different types of backgrounds and ethnicities, religions, and so on, spending real time with these folks. Not, I've friends from all over the world, but I'm talking about under the circumstances that I did. I believe that their sentences were absolutely abhorrent, and it just shows the desperate need for somebody to step up and help to reform the Justice Department.
Let's get to the rest of Billy's questions here. What was the next one?
Is Trump an ass or a tits guy?
Good question.
Have
Billy?
you seen him weightlift, and approximately how much? And then were you part of some sort of secretly manipulative deep state?
Yeah.
There
so the answer
about
is
24 others, but those are the best ones.
Yeah. So the answer is Trump is he's a breast guy, and I never heard him really speak about someone having a great backside and all, but he was very quick to talk about the size, of a woman's chest. So I hope that answers, your friend's very relevant question here. Then, and the other one was, have I ever seen Donald Trump work out? Donald Trump doesn't work out. He actually has a very weird belief system when it comes to it, that each and every person born has what he always would refer to as life energy. And by going to the gym, you use up that life energy. And so he decided that there's no reason for him to ever go to a gym. And I never saw him ever lift a single weight. Do I think that he could bench 50 pounds? I do not. He plays golf. That's about the extent of his athleticism.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Is like, doesn't golf that expends some of that life energy too, right?
Well, that's if you're walking, the course, as opposed to having a golf cart that has no governor on it so that it moves faster than everybody else's. You can get to the ball quicker and put it into a better lie. You're 100% correct.
Yeah.
And as far as being a part of a cabal, that's just a silly question. I'm not part of any cabal. I think the whole, conspiracy theory about, space lasers and the Democrats being part of a satanic cabal that, puts children into prostitution or eats their heart and their brain in order for longevity. It's stupid. It's part of that QAnon theory, that conspiracy theory, and sad to imagine that there are people in our government, members of Congress, that actually are part of this QAnon group, and our country's in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Good questions though by Billy. I'm glad that he
will find those answers.
Some of them were good questions. Back to the golfing thing though, because I've spoken with Rick Riley, who famously wrote a book about Trump and how he cheats at golf. But some of the ways that he cheats and just some of the stuff that he does on the golf course, it's pretty funny to me how he just he makes people compliment him on his golf game. There was that one, didn't he hit, we discovered he hit a hole-in-one on the very first round in the first par 3 of his new course?
It was something like that, yeah.
How good is he at golf? Is he really he's as good as he says he is?
No. So he's a good golfer. He has one of the ugliest swings you could possibly imagine, but his ball does fly for the most part straight. I can't tell you the number of times that I've had people who had just come off the course playing with him sit and criticize his score, claiming that that's just not his score. My scorecard and his scorecard do not match up. One of the ways that he does that is, let's say he's 16, 17 feet from the pin. He'll pick up the ball and give himself a mulligan onto it. That's okay if you're horsing around with friends and you're 3/4 tanked, from alcohol. But of course, as we all know, he does not drink and he doesn't get tanked. And it should not take place even when you are in the middle of a tournament that would be at his own golf course. It's amazing the number of championship trophies that he has in his own course, right? For stuff just like that. And as far as hitting a hole-in-one, I think you also have to look to see the person who may be verifying that, and it's usually somebody like his caddy that works for him, or one of the people that wants to continue to play golf with him, and then just says, "Who gives a shit?" If that's what he wants to say, if that's what he wants to lie about, knock yourself out. Because again, it's not relevant, right? Let him turn around and tell the world that he should be in the Guinness Book of World Records for having the most number of holes in one, unverified holes in one, but nevertheless hole in ones.
Yeah.
Along those lines, man, I asked you a question because you being around him, one of the things that kind of struck me about him and kind of just doing research on him was in his book, The Art of the Deal, he has this quote where he basically kind of admits that a lot of what he does is fabricate shit. He calls it exaggeration, an innocent form of exaggeration, because people need to believe in something, which on its face I think is actually a true statement. But so in your dealings with him, have you seen is that what kind of he permeates throughout his businesses, is kind of even if it's going bad, say it's going good, and that'll kind of that seems like it's on brand for him in everything he has ever put his hands on.
Yeah. So look, everything about Donald Trump, he is the P.T. Barnum of of our generation. This is a guy who will tell you that his hot dogs are the best hot dogs ever. His mattresses, his ties, his suits, his alcohol, meaning the vodka, his wine, his, everything that he does, everything he touches, including his bill, everything is better than anybody else's. And that's just what he would refer to as puffing. It's sensationalizing the brand in order to build up, interest and desire to acquire. Now, you do have to remember that The Art of the Deal was not authored by Donald. Now, he, of course, played a role into it, but it was authored by Tony Schwartz, the guy who I had on my podcast on Mea Culpa. And we talked about it. It's a great episode if somebody wanted to hear it. But Tony Schwartz will tell you the number of fights that they would have because Tony didn't want to put certain things in that Donald wanted to put in, but Donald was adamant about it. And, they don't have a great relationship despite the success of the book. For Trump, it's always about marketing. He marketed, basically his entire life, his private life, his business life, and he marketed his ass all the way into the White House. So somewhere along the line, in that respect, you got to give the guy some kudos. He cheated his way all the way. He cheated his way the way he does on the golf course all the way into the White House.
Can you talk a little bit about what the relationship was with the Clinton family? Because when he started to run against Hillary, it was like he flipped a switch and immediately he tapped into, he went full on attack mode and he was very effective at attacking her. So much so to the point that where he unexpectedly won. But it seems to me like the Clintons had a good relationship with him, at least for a certain amount of years leading up to when they became political foes. Is that fair to say? Were they on good terms when you first began working for him?
So the answer is no. Each side was using the other for whatever advantage that they can get. Obviously, the Clintons were interested in having Donald, we'll call him as a supporter, as a financial supporter. Was Bill or Hillary Clinton, were they friends that they would go for dinners or that they would vacation together or speak on any regular basis at all, even if that meant once a year? The answer to that was no. Interestingly enough, who were friends was Chelsea and Ivanka, along with Jared and Chelsea's husband. I forget his name. But they were friendlier where Ivanka would have them over to the building for dinner. There was no real love between Donald and Hillary or, Donald and Bill. It was all part of the game. It was all politics. And when Trump realized that she is what is between him and the front doors of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, it was full on attack mode. They knew that they were going to be bringing people to, for example, the debate at Hofstra University that would embarrass Trump. So what did Trump decide to do? He was going to bring in people, that would embarrass the Clintons. It was a tit for tat. But Donald really knows how to fall deep into the dumpster, right, of life, and to be that bully in a playground whereby he attacks and says things that nobody, even folks like Ted Cruz or Matt Gaetz or Josh Hawley or Marjorie Taylor Greene or any of these lunatics, they even wouldn't say this crazy stuff. And he really knows how to go into the dumpster and to fight as dirty as anybody has ever done before.
And so in the years that you've been separated from him, it seems like, I don't even know if I can say this guy's stepping into your position, but he seems to be the latest attempt at being a fixer is Rudy Giuliani. How would you rate the job that Rudy's done as Trump's guy?
I'd give him a D-. I can't say that it would be an F simply because he hasn't been indicted and incarcerated yet. But Rudy is in some serious trouble. First of all, the fact that he made the mistake of the Four Seasons and had them in the Four Seasons landscaping parking lot with what looked like crap dripping down the side of his head.
An all-time moment. The Four Seasons parking lot, I think, brought us together as Americans to just laugh and be like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, it's sad because that should have been something that David Chappelle came up with as a skit first. It's just that funny. Then you also have the ongoing continuous lies, promoting the lies that Donald wanted him to promote. Now, the interesting thing you may recall, Rudy Giuliani, because I forget which one asked me the question about whether or not I had a file on Donald. Rudy Giuliani claimed that he had insurance in the event that things go south. Well, things have gone south. They raided his home as well. They took electronics. They have a lot of information on him. And yet he seems to be falling deeper and deeper into problems. And you don't see Trump standing up for him anymore. In fact, you don't see them together at all. Now, Rudy is a media. He thinks he wanted to be this media magnet. He was enjoying every single day being on television and having people calling him for newspaper responses and whatnot. The biggest problem for Rudy is he's not the same guy that he was years earlier when he was mayor of New York. He's basically become a caricature of himself. He's really a pathetic individual who waddles down the street. I've seen him a few times on Madison Avenue looking like the Penguin, from a Batman cartoon, just going down. I mean, look, we bumped into each other at this restaurant here in the city called Fresco, and he's so despised here in New York. He really needs to kind of do what the entire Trump family did, and that's relocate to where somebody actually wants him in the same restaurant.
And then maybe he won't be getting assaulted there in grocery stores like the.
Assault.
As a lawyer, is that assault? Like if you touch somebody, and they're not expecting. He says that he felt like he got shot, and I don't know. Maybe this person had heavy hands. I'm not sure. Could that person get convicted of assault?
Look, I have to agree with what Mayor Adams stated, which is the one who actually committed a crime here is Rudy Giuliani by filing a false police report. The guy who tapped him on the back, I want you to think about, as Mayor Adams said, what would have happened if that was not recorded? Chances are this guy could be incarcerated. And I guess, especially the way our Justice Department works, he might have actually been. Instead here, Rudy files this false police report, and he should be held accountable. Some of these people, if not all of them, they too need to be held accountable for their dirty deeds, for their lies, for their illegalities. And if that means Rudy Giuliani, if that means Donald, Don, Eric, Ivanka, Jared, Laura, Kimberly Gargoyle, it makes no difference to me. Everybody should be held accountable because justice is supposed to be blind and it's supposed to be equal to all of us. Unfortunately, what do we know? It's not.
Big T, you have any more questions for him?
No, unless you want one more from Billy's list.
Let's do one more from
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Let me see. He asked about Michael Avenatti, who you mentioned earlier. You kind of already answered that one. What drove your decision to testify against Trump? How many NDAs have you drafted? Does Trump's hairdresser require an NDA?
Oh, that's a good one.
And then his tour de force is, has Trump banged more women than Arian? Arian on the show claims to have slept with a 4-digit number of women, somewhere thereabouts.
Okay. Which one do you want to tackle first?
You can answer any or all.
Why don't you pick?
Let's go with the hair question.
Okay, so everybody would sign NDAs. I don't believe that his hairdresser signed an NDA. NDAs were basically for people that worked at the company. I never signed an NDA. I just it was given to me, but I elected not to sign it, and nobody ever followed through and asked me for it. Housekeepers that worked upstairs in his private residence were required to sign NDAs. As far as NDAs for Donald, similar to like the Stormy Daniels one, that's the one and only.
All right, so nothing on the hairdresser there. What else do we have there, Big T? What was another good?
I had a last question. In light of all of like the Epstein saga and all of that media frenzy, do you have any insight as to their relationship or any kind of insight on Epstein in general?
So I never met Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, I think he was probably in a restaurant when I was there years and years ago, but I've never met him. I've never spoken to him. I am unfamiliar with the, close relationship that, people talk about between Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Donald, let me be clear about this. Donald doesn't have friends. He does not. And I'm not saying it to be a prick. I'm giving you the, as we would say in Jewish, the emes, the absolute truth. The man has no friends. If you ran for president, could you imagine the number of people from your past that would come out and say, yeah, I've been friends with Big T since, I was 5 years old, 9 years old, from high school, from college. You don't have that with Donald. And the only time people came out was to say things like he was the worst student in the class. There's nobody that has come to, including old girlfriends. You don't hear anybody that said, oh yeah, I dated, Donald took me to the prom. I haven't seen those either. And I've actually never met them. So do I think that he and Jeffrey Epstein were friends? And, there are photos of Trump and Melania and Epstein and Ghislaine. Does that mean that they knew each other? Absolutely. They knew each other. What's the extent of the relationship? I do not know. And as far as, unfortunately, the demise, some people would say, well, he got what he was coming. As it relates to the demise of Jeffrey Epstein, and all of these, once again, conspiracy theories about, it was an orchestrated assassination inside the facilities. I don't believe so. I believe that he did take his own life because, rest assured, not only did I think about it every single day while I was incarcerated and away from my wife and my children, my family, my friends, you sink to pretty low places. Now here, add on to that, you had a guy who was incredibly successful, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. He had a charmed life by all financial standards. And now he's looking at two things. One, spending the rest of his life in a pretty rough prison. But worse than that, because children were involved, the trafficking of children, these are considered, even in the hierarchy of prison, they're the lowest of low. They're referred to as chomos, right? Child molesters. And they get the shit kicked out of them by everyone, from, the guy who committed the lowest level offense to the guy who murdered God knows how many people. So I could understand where you would not want to live another day under those circumstances.
All right. Arian, anything else? Big T, anything else? Should we wrap up here? All right. Check out his new book, Michael Cohen's new book coming out. It's going to be out the end of August, beginning of September. The Department of Injustice. Listen to me, culpa. I have one last question. Have you ever been? This is like a bad Jewish bar mitzvah. You can't get the hell out of here.
All
right. Have you ever been to Prague?
I've never been to Prague. In fact, again, this is also covered in the book. At the time that I was allegedly in Prague, I was in Los Angeles. And how do you know what the FBI went in order to verify it? I went with my son, who was looking to, he's a big lefty pitcher, who was looking to play baseball at USC for the Trojans. And we had a meeting with the entire crew. Now, they said, well, what happened? Maybe you left the next day. The next day I was I was over at the studio of TMZ with Harvey Levin just to check out their new digs. So all of this was verified. I had never been to Prague. I've never been to the Czech Republic. I've never been to Germany, which is where now some conspiracies say I came through. Even if you come through Germany, you got to have a passport. Then I have other fools like this Louise Mensch that would turn around and say, because I'm a Jew, that I must have an Israeli passport as well. I've never been to Israel. I have one passport. It was a U.S. passport, and I gave them copies of the passport, including every single stamp. So I'm not sure, where this came from, other than the ridiculous Steele dossier, this jerk off and a half MI6 fool that, thank God that, England has the United States for assistance if this is what their MI6 is all about. But I have never been to Prague. I never went there with cash to pay off Russians, compromise, and to hack the DNC and Hillary's computer. My family is not in real estate in Russia, in Moscow. I don't own a dacha in Sochi, directly next door to Putin. I mean, these are all fantastical allegations by a guy who still to this day refuses to acknowledge that everything he said about me is wrong, despite the fact that our law enforcement, from the Mueller team all the way to the FBI and everyone in between, all acknowledge it's just not true.
So the piss tape is not true, is what you're getting at.
So you may remember from the House Oversight Committee, they asked me that question. Many times during the year, I would get phone calls from individuals claiming that they've either seen parts of the tape or that they have control over the tape. And I said, okay, great. If in fact you have it, how much do you want? And one guy spouted out, I want $10 million. I said, okay, I probably have asked for more, but no problem. Why don't you send me 15 seconds, send me 10 seconds of a clip so I can verify that you actually have something. Send me all your wiring information, and I'm more than happy to pay it. Because if that tape exists, I want to own it. All right?
Yeah.
Of course, never got any information, never saw any clips or anything like that. On top of that, one of the parts that makes the assertion so ridiculous, just imagine you're a housekeeper at the hotel in Moscow and Trump leaves, everybody disappears, right? They're all up in the air in his plane, heading back to the United States. And you stumble onto a urine-soaked bed. You think that that's not going to get around the hotel? You think that they wouldn't bag that, especially being it's Russia, and turn and say Trump pisses on himself? It just didn't happen, right? On top of that, since they claim it happened at like 11, 12 o'clock at night when they brought in these prostitutes to urinate on the bed. And again, now they have to make it, it's against Barack Obama because Obama and Michelle Obama slept in that bed. That all of a sudden, this is now real and that this is factual and it's accurate, and it's not. And as I said to the member of Congress that asked me the question, if that tape existed, I would have owned it. And I'm telling you, it doesn't exist.
Okay. All right. Well,
the point I was trying to make is, could you possibly imagine, right? So they come in that this wouldn't have been filmed, or somebody would have had something more than just a statement. And where did Donald Trump sleep that night? On the floor? On a pull-out couch? Right? I mean, knowing, his sleep is obviously very important to him. Where did he sleep that night? Did they get him another room? None of that information was out there. None of it is legit. And so, when you have people like Tom Arnold and others that want to promote this story, for what? Because they were doing their own thing to make money off of it. That's the whole problem here. And until we get this stuff under control, Trump should be held accountable for his dirty deeds. And we don't need, things like a P tape in order to think less of the guy, or for that to be the reason that, he ends up going to prison. I've said this on television. I want to end with it. I don't want to see Donald Trump go to prison simply because I despise him or I disagree fundamentally with almost everything that comes out of his mouth. I want him to be held accountable to show the rest of the country that everybody is accountable, or as the Democrats, as we like to say, no one is above the law. Until we start to do that and hold him accountable for the things we know he's done. For example, witness tampering, obstruction of justice, the attacks on people, myself included, via his social media in order to prevent you from testifying or to guide your testimony. That's a crime in and of itself. His taxes, why Alvin Bragg dropped that case when Mark Pomerantz, one of the best lawyers in America in this area, and Carrie Dunn, general counsel to the district attorney's office, they both turned around and said, we have more than enough. What Cohen gave us, thousands of documents, what he gave to us is more than enough to show tax evasion, misrepresentation, fraud, bank fraud, wire fraud, all of it. Why Alvin Bragg walked away to this day, I still don't know. And it's a shame, because let's just call that the low-hanging fruit. You don't need to get him on everything, like the way they handled Al Capone. You couldn't get him for murder, racketeering, extortion, so they got him on tax evasion. At the end of the day, the orange-crusted Mandarin Mussolini would be behind bars with his flip-flap-flop, as I like to call it, blowing in the wind. And that would be enough for me and for many others.
Yeah, I actually think the piss tape, if it was real, it'd probably make some people like him more. So the other stuff
possible
might be what you're looking for. Well, thank you for joining us again. Check out the podcast Mea Culpa and the book coming out, Department of Injustice. Thank you, Michael Cohen, for joining us on Macrodosing, and I'm sure we'll be in touch in the future.
Well, I look forward to getting together, and I look forward to being back.
All right, take care, man.
So long, guys.
Have a good one.
You too.
Michael Cohen was brought to you by Wealthfront. If you're keeping cash anywhere that isn't paying you a high interest rate, listen up. Wealthfront is a saving and investing app that can help you earn more on your money and build wealth for your future. The Wealthfront cash account gives everyone a 1.40 APY interest rate, which is 20 times what traditional banks pay. So, if you kept $10,000 in a Wealthfront cash account for a year, you'd be on pace to earn an extra $140 per year instead of like $7. That means that while your money earns 20 times more, you can keep saving more, whether that's for an emergency fund, a down payment, or your honeymoon to Rome. Talk about a no-brainer, and unlike other savings options, you'll always have access to your money thanks to unlimited free transfers. You get free access to over 19,000 ATMs and no account fees. And if you ever want to invest with Wealthfront, you can move your money into the market in minutes to grow it even more for the long term. Getting a cash account is super easy. It only takes a few minutes to sign up and then start earning 1.4 APY interest on all your cash. And if you start now, you'll get a free $50 bonus with a $500 deposit. There are already nearly 500,000 people using Wealthfront to save more, earn more, and build long-term wealth. So why wait? Earn 1.4% on your cash today. Visit wealthfront.com/macro to get started. That's wealthfront.com/macro. This no-brainer good news has been a paid endorsement for Wealthfront. Okay, that does it for Macrodosing. We're going out to an event on Long Island. So Big T and I will be out of the office on Wednesday. So that means we recorded our voicemails, and that will be this week's Nanodosing. That will be coming up on Thursday for you guys. And then next week we will be back with a new Macrodosing. So we will see you guys on Thursday for voicemails and Nanodosing. Thank you for tuning in. We love you guys.